What's going on? What's going on? What's going on, Film Fam? Welcome to another episode of Let the Film Speak. I am one of your hosts, Chop. Here, my main man, Willie Jack. Willie Jack, how you doing this evening, big dog?
Oh, I'm going to the dance. So I'm feeling good, feeling great, big dog. You know what I'm saying? The dance is here. You know what I'm saying? It's time to party. I got my dance shoes on. I'm ready for this weekend. You know what I'm saying? So I'm feeling excited.
Okay, I absolutely, Willie Jack. Hey, and I'm going to the dance with you, my dog. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, who knows, man? Who knows what'll happen? Maybe I will meet you on the other side. You know what I'm saying? That's it.
Hey, let's do it. Hey,
You know what I'm
let's
saying?
do it. Hey, I ain't mad at that at all.
Hey, let the film speak, fam. I know y'all be happy to see that. You know what I'm saying? Just a film fam, a film rivalry. You know how they go.
Hey, I don't know if we can afford for that to happen because if we both meet in the Super Bowl, I don't know what we got to do. We got to be in the building.
Hey, we're gonna have to. We gonna have no choice, Willie Jack.
Hey,
We will not have a choice, big dog. But yeah, man, y'all know what tonight is, man. It's the Let the Film Speak show, our Wednesday night show. This is where we recap each and every game from the Week 18 slate of games. We also got a bunch of news. Y'all know after the last game of the season, man, it's a lot of news that come out, a lot of coaching changes. So we definitely gonna jump into that. But before we do that, we gotta jump into what we jump into all the time, and that's the house rules, man. And they're the same as always. That's like, that share, that subscribe, and hit that notification bell. You know what I'm saying? Become the newest member of the Film Fam. Share it with your partners. Let them know what's going on, what me and Willie Jack got cooking over here. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead and invite them. Get them in the building with us. Also, be in the know of what we got going on in the future. If you do all those things, I guarantee you, we will not let you down. Willie Jack, we got some announcements, man. We got some announcements. And we've been talking about this weekly pick'em, you know, all year long about getting your picks in, you know, and all those different things. And we happen to end in the tie, man. We ended in the tie after the regular season, and it was a tie between Sierra and Pick'em then Stick'em, man. And that's brother-in-law. That's Tory, man. That's brother-in-law Tory, man. So it ended up in a tie between those two. So you know how we're going to do that? Because we ain't ending in no ties, Willie Jack. I don't know if they thought we was just going to end it that way.
Yeah, no, not at all.
We are extending the weekly Pick'em an extra week, but it's only for those two now. Only for those two. So what's going to happen is they're going to have to pick each and every game from the wild card weekend or super wild card weekend. So you got to pick each and every game, and if it ends up in a tie again, we're not settling for that. Y'all need to pick the score of that Monday night game. The Monday night game is Philadelphia going to Tampa Bay, man. That is the Monday night game. You need to pick the final score of that game, and then we're gonna go off the total score of that game. So whoever gets closest to that, if they end up in a tie, is going to be the winner of this year's weekly pick'em, man. So we ended up in the tie with Jack. Sierra held that lead for a long time.
Yeah.
Pick him then stick him. He hung on, man. He made his way back on in this thing.
And see, I thought that he had actually took over first place. Didn't he?
Last week he did.
Yeah,
he did.
So he had actually took over first place, and Sierra was like, "Hold on, big dog, not so fast." And she came back and tied it on up. So yeah, I'm excited to see how it pans out.
Absolutely. And of course, just a reminder, our dog, Day One Gang, I don't know if he's in the building just yet, but Jarrell, he did take home the Let the Film Speak Fantasy Football League Championship.
Yes,
so shout out to Jarrell again. Give him one more shout out. Of course, we do got some stuff coming your way. All right, Woody Jack, I ain't gonna waste too much time, man, because we got some news to get to, man. We have some coaching changes in the building, man, from a few different organizations. Some we kind of expected, but some a little bit more surprising, man. But we're gonna start off with one of the ones that I know I've been talking about the majority of the season, and a coach that I wasn't too pleased with, Arthur Smith. Arthur Smith, former head coach of the Atlanta Falcons, he was fired the morning after the loss they took against the Saints, man, and yeah, of course, hashtag hate to see it because we're talking about.
Man, I was about to say, why you lie? Hey, why you lying? Hate to see it. You been calling for that man.
No, I ain't lying. No, I ain't lying. I did call for his job because this is what you sign up for. You know what I'm saying? So I don't feel bad in terms of that. You know, you got to do what you got to do when it comes to a business, but it is a man's livelihood. You know, that's at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? You a man first. That's what Pop talk. You a man first. You know what I'm saying? So I'm always gonna put that hate to see it, but yes, man, I think that deservingly, and what the Atlanta Falcons needed to do, they took care of business and did that. They moved on and they go on a different route in terms of this. So yeah, Arthur Smith was he lost his job. Willie Jack, what's your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, man, I mean, well, I don't know if I should, like I said, I don't want to say well deserved. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, hey, shit, he earned them shoes they put on him. I mean, I don't know what else to say, man. It wasn't going well there. I think this is the third year in a row they finished 7-10, and not to say that that's the end all be all, because it's got to be deeper than that. But it really feels like he mismanaged a lot of the talent that they had there. Now he didn't get much help from his quarterback position with Desmond Ridder, but even outside of that, I mean, it just looks like he really kind of mismanaged a lot of the young talent that he did have. And so I'm definitely ready to see some new blood there. And honestly, man, when I'm thinking about these jobs that's available, and I was gonna ask you about this anyway when we get through all these firings, man. There's some good news there, but the more and more I'm thinking about it, man, Atlanta is starting to look to me to be one of the more attractive landing spots, man. I dare say maybe the most attractive landing spot when I take it all into consideration. And I'll hold off on this. We can talk about that, you know what I'm saying, maybe when we get through all of them. But no, like I said, man, definitely it's gonna be a desirable place for somebody. And like I said, man, there's a lot of raw materials there to work with now. They got a lot of a nice young core, especially on offense, to really build on for sure.
Absolutely, and I agree with you, Willie Jack. They do have a lot to build on, and it was exactly what you said. You know, in terms of my take on the reason why he lost his job, it was it came down to the decision making, the decision making of him as a head coach. It came down to the utilization of his talent, and it just it was time for a change, man. And you already mentioned 21-30 over his career in Atlanta. And it was tough going. And then watching him this year, it was just more so of, come on, man, you got to figure it out. You know what I'm saying? You got to figure it out. And it was just certain instances where I was like, there's no way you're not getting your best players the ball in certain situations to try to come away with the W's in these games, man. And hey, you make those type of decisions, you know, on worldwide television, you know, fans gonna talk, everybody's gonna talk, everybody sees it, and hey, things happen, man. So yeah, Arthur Smith is without a job. But yes, I do like what that looks like in terms of that job. That job looks like the jobs that if you're a coach out there, that could be a good one to go after for sure.
Yeah, and I thought Miles in the comments, man, he said the offensive coordinator needs to get the boot as well. And I would imagine normally when the head coach goes, I mean, the rest of that's going to be a formality. I would assume that the rest of those guys are involved in this, especially once the new head coach comes in. I would imagine you know, that slate gets clean for sure. But yeah, man, it was definitely time for a change.
Absolutely. On to some other news, Willie Jack. Ron Rivera also out of Washington in terms of the Commanders head coach, man. He was another one of those guys where I kind of saw this one coming, and you know, in terms of his time being up, and he just wasn't getting the job done. And I don't know if you guys remember, it was a huge sign of mine when he didn't know that they could be eliminated from the playoffs last year. I don't know if everybody remember when that happened. Towards the end of the season, they were playing in the game, and I think he made a boneheaded decision or made a decision to almost like be a little bit more conservative, and he didn't realize that his decision and possibly losing that game, they could have been eliminated from the playoffs there. So he pretty much put his team in a position where it was very likely that they weren't going to make the playoffs. Don't get me wrong. Now, Washington wasn't a very good team last year, but at the same time,
they were more in the mix.
They were in playoff contention. At one point, all three of the NFC East teams were all in those wild card spots. So that would included the Giants of last year, the Cowboys, and then of course the Washington Commanders. So they were all in position to get into the playoffs last year at some point. Of course, it didn't play out that way, but you know, those were decisions that he made down the stretch that, you know, made people start to scratch their head. And then you go into this year and just wasn't getting the job done. 26-40 was his record as a head coach in Washington. You usually hung around 7 to 8 wins, and this year they just dropped down to 4. You know, so they were going backwards. And yes, I agree. This was time for a change for them as well.
Yeah, and just like you said, man, it's almost feels like Ron Rivera is, and I think we get to this point like every so often where he's just kind of a part of that old guard of coaches. It's just kind of time for like a recycling of, or not recycling like bringing them back, but it's just time for a change of the guard. It feels like he was an old guard coach, and not to say that he's just because he's older he doesn't deserve to be a coach, but it just still feels like he had his time. He had a very good run there in Carolina. They came close. Hell, they went to the Super Bowl and didn't get it done. But it kind of felt like he was a part of that old guard trying to bring it back, man. I remember he had Jack Del Rio in there as a defense coordinator for a couple years, and they were probably a bottom 4 or 5 defense for long stretches of that tenure, even with all the defensive talent that they had on that team and how they had 4 first rounders, $400 million style of quarter contract guys on their front line, and just never morphed into the dominant front in which they should have with all the talent they had. I'm talking Marcus, Sweat, Young, Payne, and Allen. Both those guys are $100 million guys right there. And so with all that work in the middle, it just never came together. And yeah, man, it just feels like it's a time for a change of the guard in there. And then our dog Miles back in the chat, man, he said free EB. And so I'm curious to see how that works out, man, and see as far as Eric Bieniemy being the offensive coordinator there. I know it didn't go. There were some flashes there. There were some spurts where we did see his impact on that offense, the production, the explosiveness that we were able to see, and then also, man, the lack of explosion in point production that we saw for Kansas City. So Eric Bieniemy's name, well warranted, finally should have hold a little bit more weight when he goes into these interviews and goes into these meetings with these owners. But I'm curious to see what they do in Washington, because they should have a guy who's going to be considered a premium candidate right there in their building. So curious to see how that unfolds as well.
Absolutely, Willie Jack. So I'll be paying attention to that as well. Just see how they approach this offseason. On to the next one, Willie Jack, another coach. Now this one, I know my dog Willie Jack was a little bit surprised when he saw this one.
Oh man, yeah.
I'm gonna turn this one over to you first, man, because I know you want to really get into this one and try to figure out or try to break this one down any way that you can. But Tennessee Titans, man, they decided to let go of Mike Vrabel, man. Mike Vrabel, head coach of the Tennessee Titans, is gone after this season. I would like to believe that he will be one of the top head coaches that are out there on this coaching free agent list. Willie Jack, go ahead, talk to me, man.
This one, I ain't gonna say it hurt, but this one really took me by surprise. Like, this is one where you was like, I gasped. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was really surprised when I seen this news. And so looking more into it, trying to read the stories or listen to clips and people in the know. A couple of things they say were going on there. I guess he was recently inducted into the Patriots Ring of Honor. And so the Patriots invited him out to the owner's box and et cetera, and to be on the field and be inducted and all this. And I guess the ownership in Tennessee, I can't think of that lady's name now, but I want to say, I don't know if it was Mike Florio or Peter King or somebody, but I guess they didn't like that at all. As far as like you're actively our coach, like they I guess they didn't like the optics of that. And then of course they have footage. He's sitting in the owner's box right there next to Robert Kraft. Everybody, there's a lot of smoke around the Bill Belichick is out the door fire. And so now you've got my coach sitting next to Robert Kraft, the owner, and say what you will or say what you want, but it'd be hard for me as a Titans owner to believe you want some type of rumblings or some type of little nudge, like, man, this could all be yours, man. It feels good to have you back home, big dog. You know what I'm saying? We rolled out and so so there was some stuff there. But I think this one is even goes back deeper, and a lot of this is going to be the GM prior to Ryan Carthon, who was brought in this last year. But there were some very public decisions made with that roster, most notably the A.J. Brown trade. Mike Vrabel went out in the news the day before they traded him and said, no, if I'm the coach, and A.J. Brown is going to be here. A.J. Brown, in an interview he did with, I think, I Am Athlete at the time, he even talked about how, like, nah, man, me and Mike Vrabel, we talked every single day for an hour a day, he's fighting for me too. And they both were surprised to get that news. I think he got the news on a ticker on draft night and had to walk out the building to not cuss the room out. You know what I mean? And so decisions like that. Jack Conklin, a first-round right tackle that they had that they chased away, let him just leave in free agency. He goes to the Browns and has some Pro Bowl caliber years. He's been hurt these last few years, but just things like that, like just him and the organization not being on one accord or not being on the same page as far as what to do with homegrown talent and talent that's in the building and letting these guys go. And so from all accounts as well, like the meeting with ownership, everybody just, nothing, I guess, overly specific, but everybody said it sounds like it was a pretty quick, short and sweet meeting. It sounds like they went in there, sat down. I don't know if it was, we going in another direction, or he was like, I'm about this thing. And just that fast, he's no longer the coach. But this is a guy for me, for my money right now. And I know there's a lot of Jim Harbaugh talk coming off that Michigan championship, coming off that Michigan championship. But Harbaugh for me, or excuse me, Vrabel for me is the hottest name on the open market. Y'all already know how I feel about Vrabel. Vrabel's a top 5 coach in my book. You know what I'm saying? And so I think he's a guy that has shown and proved that he's a guy that brings a culture with him. He brings a style of play with him. He plays a certain demeanor and a certain just attitude about a football team that just I really enjoy and that I'm a fan of. And so there's not going to be many names that I want in my building. There's going to be not many names ahead of Mike Vrabel on my head coach search if I'm an owner for sure.
Gotcha. And I'm kind of with you there, Willie Jack. I more so look at it as I look two different ways. One, this ain't the first time I've seen this happen. Okay, where you feel like a coach is doing a pretty good job. You know, things you may not see necessarily eye to eye with the way maybe the GM and everybody else around him, the way they think. So they decided to get rid of a good head coach. Mm-hmm. Over in Miami, Brian Flores was a great head coach over there. You know what I'm saying? And they decided to go different ways, you know, because of different reasons when they had him in the building. You know what I'm saying? So this is not the first time we've seen something similar to this. But if you're Mike Vrabel, you got to feel good, man. You got to feel good about this situation because it's like, okay, I hit the open market. I get to go get some money, get some new money. You know what I'm saying? Some money in terms of, hey, I've proven that I'm a pretty good coach. Now I get to go take on another organization who's going to back me up, an organization that is going to take my word and allow me to utilize the players, you know, that I have to the best of their ability. You know what I'm saying? What you mentioning AJ Brown and Conklin and all those different guys.
Kevin Byard this year.
Kevin Byard is gone. Like they took away a lot of what he had in place and what he was building and doing over there. And not only did they rob him, they robbed some of the other players too. You know, Derrick Henry has been running his butt off for you guys. And y'all took everything from around him that helped him be successful. And he was the one that was carrying the load over there. You know what I'm saying? So it was a lot going on over there. And if I'm looking at this situation, it's like, hey, I'm happy to be out of it. I'm happy to be out of there. Happy to be on the open mark. And yes, I do believe he's going to have some options out there for him. And hey, maybe he ends up over in Atlanta. The Chargers is a great organization, but I ultimately think that it hasn't been said yet, and the move hasn't been made yet. But ultimately, man, the Patriots gonna call that boy. The Patriots gonna call him because I think, and we'll see. They haven't made a movie, like I said, but I think they're gonna move forward from Bill Belichick, and Mike Vrabel will be a great guy to come take the position after him.
Yeah, no, that one's like you said, that map just lines itself up. Like I said, if Bill's officially out the door or whatnot, or see how they do that. And here's the thing about Bill as well, especially seeing with well, damn, okay. I guess segueing into the next one we're going to talk about, but hearing this news with Pete Carroll, how he's transitioning, you know, from the sideline as the coach to an advisory role with ownership. I wonder if Bill would want to do would be, if that's the move that the Patriots are going to make, to keep kind of Bill in the organization, but no longer as a coach, and then bring in Mike Vrabel to be that heir apparent to kind of pick up that baton and run with it now, with Bill still being a guy now in the, you know, saying now in the top box with the executives and such, and then maybe them trying to rebuild that dynasty now with the young blood of Mike Vrabel. So that definitely
that's not bad, Willie Jack. That's not bad.
It really, I mean, that lines up. You know what I'm saying? For real, that really does line up, man. But you know, who knows? You know.
Yeah. And speaking of that, might as well go ahead and roll on into it. Pete Carroll is no longer the head coach of the Seattle Seahawks. He's still with the Seattle Seahawks, but more in an advisory role. So for those who weren't quite sure or up to date with the move with Pete Carroll and what Willie Jack was referring to, but I sometimes I think there does need to be a little bit of a change in the organization with like the structure and how you decide to run things. And I'm not mad at this move, honestly. You know what I'm saying? I know you were a little bit surprised at it, but I'm not necessarily mad at it because Pete Carroll is one of those guys where, all right, he has his thing, he has his way of doing things. This is the way I feel like we need to do it. And sometimes those things can be a little outdated. Not that it couldn't work or not that it couldn't be successful, but you see a lot of these different coaches around the league that are going to the newer, younger, more innovative type of thinking, and they are successful. And I'm talking about their offenses look so much more explosive. Like they're coming up with so many different schemes. They're finding so many different ways to approach the game to the point where, a lot of the other coaches can't necessarily keep up. So sometimes you just want a new face, and somebody that can come in and create a different atmosphere and bring something new and fresh to the team, especially with what I think this team is about to go through this offseason, in terms of maybe some changes, some of their longtime pieces maybe going away. And then I think they ultimately are going to have to make a decision on, Geno Smith, whether they feel like he's going to be that long-term guy for them or not. I know he's kind of, playing that role or borderline, but those are a lot of the things that kind of come into play with I think with this decision. And I'm not mad at the move at all. I like Pete Carroll in this position. I think he'll still be a very good influence on whoever comes in there in that door, and they're able to, still kind of keep something together and keep a good foundation with Pete Carroll still in an advisor role.
No, and this one surprised me because there hadn't been any type of whispers or anything about there being issue with Pete Carroll. And we got to remember this team, the team this year was, I mean, they won the game they won their last game, a comeback win, a 1-point win over the Cardinals, to put themselves in position to win or to go to the playoffs. But with the Packers beating the Bears, they were eliminated in that game. So this was a team that was, a half game out from being in the playoffs again. And honestly, I thought that the message was getting stale with Pete Carroll, and it was time to make a change when there was back when there was the whole Let Russ Cook campaign. You know what I mean? And so at that time, I was thinking, okay, well, I've got a young Super Bowl quarterback, quality quarterback, still in his relative prime. Russ was 28, 29. It feels like Pete Carroll's been old since the 90s. You know what I'm saying? Like, we forget Pete Carroll's first NFL coaching job was in like 88, 89. So he's 72. You know, so he's an older man. Now, you wouldn't know it the way he's moving and grooving. You know what I'm saying? He's the fourth string quarterback.
Hey, the boy was slanging them down, baby.
Hey, but the thing about it was, so at that time, I was like, okay, you know what, man? Maybe it's time to move forward with Russ and let Pete go out the pasture, you know what I'm saying? Maybe change it up there. Well, they proved myself and a lot of us wrong by making the right decision. Now we're going to keep Pete and let Pete re-rock this thing, and then we see what he did. He had probably his best coaching performance since that first dynasty era of teams with the Legion of Boom in that first year with Geno. Who saw that coming? You know what I'm saying? You trade away Russ. That team is devoid of talent on defense. They a team full of rookies again, and all these things. You got Geno Smith battling it out with Drew Lock to be the starter. They were dead in the water. You know what I'm saying? And then what do? You know what I'm saying? Big Geno, you know what I'm saying? It revives his career. They make a hell of a run and have an excellent season. And then they come back this year, and it's not necessarily as pretty as it's not necessarily as it doesn't go the way quite as good as it did last year. But like I said, they're still a half game out of the playoffs even this year. So they still found a way to compete. And that roster is still being turned over. So Pete still, I don't think, well, what am I trying to say? I can see the argument for, okay, it's just time for change. Because like I said, he's been in that building for 10 plus years. I think he's at 14 years. The message gets stale and all these things. But I think the production that we've seen from the team, there's still a competitive team, and so I think he still has the chops. But I don't disagree with the argument that it's just time for a change. And our dog, man, my dog OJ Big Juice, man, OJ Dubs in the building, man. He's a Seahawk fan for sure, man. He agrees that change was needed. But now this one as well, Chop. We've got another one. You know, Dan Quinn, defensive coordinator for the Packers, for the Cowboys, playing the Packers this weekend. Dan Quinn may be in position to take the same line of path, you know what I mean? Like we just said for Belichick and Vrabel. Maybe Dan Quinn comes back home where he came up as a coach under Pete Carroll in those Legion of Boom days, right? And so maybe he comes back and he picks up the head coaching role with Pete now being in the team advisory role in the upper box, and we kind of get that a similar dynamic where we get one of our sons comes back home and now he picks it up and moves it forward, like I said, with the OG Pete Carroll being kind of, you know what I'm saying, being an advisor up top for him. And so, but now this is another one, man, where, like I said, this roster needs some work for sure, especially defensively. They haven't gotten back to what they were, but they've still got some exciting pieces on this team as well to work with. And we've seen that even with that roster being in flux and in turnover, they're still finding a way to compete.
Gotcha. And I like that you brought up the name Dan Quinn, Willie Jack. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I want to see him again. I saw him a decent amount of time in Atlanta. I don't know. Maybe with under. Mm-hmm. And I'm saying under. I don't know how this structure work out, but I would imagine. But maybe under Pete Carroll, it's a better fit in terms of what they want to do. But I'm not 100% sold on it when we see them, especially when we seen them last time in Atlanta. So.
Hey. No, let's not forget that Atlanta team should have won a Super Bowl. You know what I'm saying? That was Dan Quinn's Atlanta team that was up 28-3 before Kyle Shanahan, you know what I'm saying, got pass happy and Devontae Freeman misses a block, and we see this, you know, we had all these things happen, but Dan Quinn is 3 plays away from being a Super Bowl champion coach. You know what I'm saying? And also, I'll tell you one thing as well. Seeing the job he's done in Dallas with that defense, and he's changed his philosophy. That defense in Dallas, when you see it, you don't think about the Seahawks, that Seahawks wide 9 press bell 3 that we all knew them from. So he's evolved his own. He's evolved himself as a coach and as a defensive player, as a defensive-minded coach for sure. And so I'm not gonna lie, man, Dan Quinn is an attractive name in my book. Just seeing how he's evolved and what he's doing with this Dallas defense, man.
And that was cool until Kyle Shanahan left over in Atlanta. You know, when Kyle Shanahan left.
I saw Julio got old, Matt Ryan got old. I mean, you know, a lot of things changed, but
okay, I got it. Well, hey, you never know, Willie Jack. I'm not mad at you for bringing up the name, though. I'll say that.
Wait, hold on, bro. You know what? Somebody in the chat, y'all in there fact check me. That might not have been Dan Quinn. That might have been Dan Quinn. I think might have been on that. Was he one of the coaches there? Or am I tripping? Or I'm now starting to think
for the Super Bowl. You saw him for the Super Bowl one, right?
Yeah, for the Falcons. Hold on, I'm thinking I might got
that was 2016. That was his second year as the head coach of the Atlanta Falcons.
Okay.
His first year they went 8-8. His second year they was 11-5. Third year 10-6, and then they started to go back downhill.
Okay. I had to think about it real quick.
Yeah, you were right. 2016 they were NFC champions.
Okay, bet. Okay, good. I had for a second I thought I might have a brain fart.
Hey, man, you got to doubt yourself, man. You got this, Willie Jack.
Hey, yeah, you're right. You're right. My doubt.
And on to our last bit of news, man. This is not necessarily the news we typically go over, man. This is not NFL, but we thought we should go ahead and touch on it just for a quick second anyway, because of the magnitude of that, man. Former head coach of the University of Alabama, Roll Tide, you know what I'm saying, Nick Saban, has announced that he is retiring, man. So he's no longer the head coach of Alabama. Finished after 17 years in Tuscaloosa. So after 17 years there, 6 titles, national titles, man. He is
decided to retire. I thought it was 7. Was it 6 or 7? Oh no, 6 in Alabama. He won one in LSU as well. That's what.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Yeah, so 6 in Alabama. Another one. We'll gotta give him credit for that one. So 1 in LSU. So yeah, man, gotta give him credit there. Phenomenal career. Made Alabama a powerhouse. For years, and that was a school that was just
turning out.
It was above a lot of teams for a while, and turning out talent for a while, man. So yeah, Nick Saban, got to give him his credit there. Willie Jack, you got something on him?
He's one of the guys, man. You know what I mean? So he's Rushmore. You know what I'm saying? And he definitely, you know what I'm saying, made his mark in college football. He had a little stint in the pros with the Dolphins that you know what, Alabama owes the Dolphins a debt of gratitude because let's say, I mean, there's no other way to put it, his failure in the pros with Miami is what sent him to Alabama. You know what I'm saying? And then college football has never been the same. And so, but no, man, he's one of those guys. You can make an argument that he's the GOAT. He's the greatest, man. So him, Bear Bryant, the longtime Alabama coach from, you know what I'm saying, back in the day. You know what I'm saying? And so, in a number of other, and other talented coaches as well. But no, man, he's one of those ones, man. His like I said, he's Rushmore. And so, congratulations, Coach Saban. You know what I mean? Excellent career. You definitely left a mark. I don't know if there's going to be another guy that touches those accomplishments that we've seen him touch. You know what I'm saying? Almost like Belichick in the pros. You know what I'm saying? He was like the Belichick of college football. You know what I'm saying? And so, like I said, man, right off to the sunset, you deserve it, bro.
What's up, Willie Jack? You want to become some head coaches, man? Big man, you can go build our
Hey
own
man,
coaches.
you know what, man? Hey, it's some spots now.
There's some spots open.
It's some spots open
There's
now.
some spots open. Where you thinking? Hey, man, you can go to Atlanta right now, bro, and we can really turn this around.
Man, hey, you know what I'm saying? I've been to Hotlanta a time or two. you feel me?
Hey, Macaroni Tony already there. So
you so right.
We building the staff already. Atlanta Falcons. I don't know if y'all, you know what I'm saying.
Man.
You know, been looking. You know, so I don't know where y'all looking, but hey, we got some qualified guys over here, man. Y'all want to come holler at your boys? You know what I'm saying?
Hey, no, show you right. For sure, you right. And shout out to my dog ZB, man. He in the chat, he said a 33% title success rate was insane. Yeah, 7 titles over the span of, I think it was like 19 years between his first title and his last one or something like that. So 7. So like he averaged the title every 3 years thereabouts or something like that. And so yeah, that's a crazy impressive stat for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, Willie Jack, man, who's in the building, man? Since you naming them off, who done stepped in and tapped in with your boys, man? Let's do a little quick little film fam check in before we hop into some of these games.
Oh yeah, no doubt, man. First one through the door was our dog, man. Speaking of devil, man, ZB Zach the Mac, our favorite co-worker, holding us down as well. Mom Deuce is in the building right behind him. Appreciate you, love you, lady. Same thing, man. She always says, man, good evening, have a blessed show as always. You know, we appreciate you, man. Our dog, Miles the Mac, man, holding us down from Atlanta. Ooh, Mrs. Boyce, wife and sister of the show, slid in this thing as well. Cheers to another fabulous regular season to all the filmmakers for sure. You know, we appreciate you, lady. And then, of course, man, our dog, man, terrible time in those Houston, Texas is in the building. And in case you didn't know, he wants you to know that the Texans is still going to the Super Bowl. And you know what? Like I said, hey, they got just as good a chance as anybody. With CJ Stroud, man, when he's back there and he's the guy behind center, the way that young defense is really turned it on and the way they're playing, man, he doesn't sound as crazy as he did 17 weeks ago. And then last but not least as well, man, shout out to my dog, man, holding us down. OJ Dick Juice, man. OJ Dubs in the building as well, man. Appreciate y'all. The rest of y'all, I see y'all in here in the views, man. Wait a minute. I see baby sis in the building. She said, don't forget about me now. Hey, appreciate you as always, lady. But yeah, the rest of y'all, holler at me in the chat so we can shout y'all properly. Y'all know what's going on.
You know exactly what's going on, Willie Jack. You know exactly what's going on. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into these games, Willie Jack. We got a few games over this past week 18, man. We definitely want to jump into those, man. So let's go ahead and get right into it. We definitely went through the Saturday games already, and discussed, you know, how those kind of played out. But let's talk about some of the others. And we had the Cleveland Browns. Cleveland Browns, they go to Cincinnati to take on the Bengals. The Bengals win that game at home, 31-14. Willie Jack, talk to me about this one.
Oh man, yeah, the Browns cooling, you know what I'm saying? So they put the B and half the C team in. Like I said, they already locked it to the 5th seed. They've been prepping for Houston for a week and a half now. And so, like I said, gonna be short and sweet. The Bengals, on the other hand, like I said, not playing for nothing but pride. They did have a chance to win this game and finish their season above 500, playing against a plethora of backups, and they handled their business and did what they had to do. So they get out of there. They like I said, they salvage. I guess if you got to end your season one way or another, so end it with a W. You know what I'm saying? Regardless if ain't no tomorrow. So they finished that season 9-8, and this is a team that, like I said, brighter days are on the horizon. A lot of injuries this year, namely to, you know what I'm saying, the $200 million or whatever that money was they gave Joe Beasley. You know what I'm saying? But they've got brighter days coming, but they finished their season on a nice note, and they'll be back to recoup stronger than ever for sure next season.
Absolutely, Willie Jack. And I'm with you totally with your take on this game. Not going to touch too much on the specific game at hand. We had a few backups playing this game. All the starters weren't playing. But yeah, this is more so about, all right, going into the offseason and getting prepared for next season. Like you said, with Joe Beasley coming back, now figuring out what are you going to do with Tyler Boyd and T. Higgins?
Yeah.
What guys are you planning on adding, trying to replace? Like what type of moves are you guys planning on making this offseason? That's the biggest thing for the Cincinnati Bengals, you know, regrouping and coming back ready. And I also think that they're going to be right back in the mix come next year once they get fully healthy, because they still got some dangerous pieces over there. So definitely be on the lookout for this Cincinnati Bengals team. And for the Browns, with them resting some of those guys, I'm curious to see what they're going to look like, because terrible time, you told us the Texans going to the Super Bowl. You know, so if they go into the Super Bowl, their first matchup is going to be these Browns coming to town, man. And
these well-rested Browns. Browns just came off a bye week.
Absolutely, so man. These well-rested Browns. The Texans had to play to get in. They had to play all their starters and all that. The Browns, they got a chance to rest a little bit. So they already knew they was going to get in regardless. So now they got to go on down to Houston, and they got to try to take care of business there, man. So, good win for the Bengals, but this is pretty much all about preparing for the off season, man. So
gotcha. And then ZB dropped Joe Mixon's name, man. He did have a good statistical day, so I'll read him off. He went 14 for 111, had 2 touchdowns, man, 1 rushing and 1 receiver. So he did have a nice day. Which in another game that could very well be Joe Mixon's last game in Cincinnati as well. So good call out by my dog ZB.
Absolutely. All right, Willie Jack. On to the next game. We had the Minnesota Vikings going to Detroit to take on the Lions. This was one of the few games where we had all the starters pretty much playing the entire game. Now, I was a little curious as to why Dan Campbell wanted to play his starters for as much as he did, because their spot was solidified. They had the division wrapped up, and there wasn't too much that could happen to where they could move up to the number 2 seed. The Dallas Cowboys would have had to lose, in which the Dallas Cowboys were going up against the Washington Commanders, who could have very well been considered bottom 3 teams at that time. So there was a very low chance that they were going to take the L that game. And instead, the Detroit Lions, they go out, they take care of business, they get this W, but it came at a price because they did get an injury from Sam Laporta. Now, we're still unsure if he's going to be able to play this week or not, so we got to keep the eye on that. And they got a couple other guys that end up being banged up in this game too, Willie Jack. And that was one of the things I was like, I hope the Detroit Lions didn't hurt themselves. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not sitting up here complaining about it because they got to go see the Rams. I mean, the Rams got to go see them. Yeah, the Rams, that's what we playing against. So I'm not super upset about it. But at the same time, I still am a fan of Dan Campbell. I like what Dan Campbell has done for this team. But we've seen it, and I don't know how many people have mentioned it. We've seen it time and time again throughout this year, Willie Jack. His aggressiveness backfiring on him. It's cost him some games with going for it on 4th downs and all those different things that he loves to do. And quite frankly, this could very well cost him a playoff win because he went into this Week 18 meaningless game and decided to play his players and end up coming away with some injuries. So I'm curious to see if these guys are healthy enough to play, and if they are, if they're just fighting through it and still banged up. But I think this could have an impact on their performance in the playoffs. And I'm curious to see what's going on. The Vikings did have an opportunity to get into the playoffs. There was a long shot, but and of course they don't make it. They take the L. They would have needed to win this game, and of course,
and then had like 6 other teams lose in the right order or something crazy.
So it was an uphill climb for them for sure.
Yeah, no, and like I said, and we kind of touched on it a little bit on Sunday. I can see the logic with Dan Campbell like wanting to carry some style of good momentum into the playoffs because they had 2 tough losses before this game. Like I said, the controversial loss in Dallas, namely the one that we all remember and know about. And so if you're Dan Campbell in this Lions team, I can see how you want to shake off that bad juju, punch one in, get a dub, and carry that momentum forward into the playoffs. I can see the thought process there, but just like you said, man, that aggression for double down, Dan, man, as much as we enjoy it, it is a double-edged sword. You know what I mean? So it is a fine line to try to walk of, when to push and when to pull them back, when to hold them, when to fold them. And so super unfortunate the injury to Sam Laporta. You know what I mean? And so as far as I know, man, I don't think he's expected to play this weekend, not this soon.
I've heard something like that too, but it still says questionable. I just looked at the injury report as of today. Of course, we got still got a few more days. Right. As of right now, it still shows questionable. So I really don't know what he just.
Yeah, no. I think for the reporting purposes, who knows? But I think it's from everything that I've actually heard. They say if they win, then he'd have a decent shot to maybe brace it up and come back and deal with it with a pain towels or whatever the case. But it seemed that I'd be very surprised from the things that I was hearing if he actually is able to suit up this weekend. And then also, like our dog ZB said, I mean, they did still have a shot at that 2 seed. And so, like I said, I can see that as well. Like, I'd hate to, if Dallas went out there and Dallas and just laid an egg against Washington, and then we just laid it down and just conceded that 2 seed, I think I would be super pissed off at myself as well. So I can kind of see, but like I said, man, that's the risk you take because now you lose such a valuable weapon in Sam Laporta. But like I said, I mean, they do get the win. The playoff seeding doesn't necessarily get affected. Now they've got a big one coming up this week against your Rams for sure.
Absolutely.
Oh, hold on, but before we get off this one, because like I said, I know we moving and grooving, man, with some of these games. But
I already know where you're gonna go.
Yeah, buddy. Shout out to the best in the business, man. Justin Jefferson, 12 for 192 and a touchdown in this game. Reaches over 1,000 yards on the season. And let's not forget, he missed 7 games this year. And then also, we can't forget, remember, he came back and missed half of he came back and then got injured or nicked up again and came back out of game. So he missed the better part of 9 games and finished this season with over 1,000 yards, man. And so, like I said, man, for my money, man, the best doing it. So kudos and congrats to you, Justin Jefferson, man. I can't wait to see you come back full strength next year. Hopefully with Kirk Cousins, but we'll see what happens there. But man, I can't wait to see him back at full strength this time next year.
Gotcha. Absolutely, Willie Jack. On to the next one, man. Let's go to Tennessee, where the Jacksonville Jaguars go to Tennessee to face the Titans, man. The Titans win this game at home, 28-20. Go ahead, Willie Jack. Go ahead, talk.
Hey, I needed this one, but this is the one I needed. This is the one that got me to the dance. This is the one that got me to the dance. So to make it to the playoffs, the Steelers needed a couple situations to happen, and of all those situations, the only one that actually came through was the Jaguars losing to the Titans. And so this was what turns out now in hindsight to be Mike Vrabel's last game as the head coach of the organization, and from all intents and purposes, it appears to be Derrick Henry's last game as the Tennessee Titans bell cow back. And so he went out with a bang. I know he let me know that he heard you saying all those things you said about him losing a step. He ain't got it no more. He was like, yeah, tell your dog I heard him. I ain't want to say nothing. I was going to let my play do the talking. And then he went out there 19 for 153, got a touchdown, broke a 70-yard run. And I think I saw a graphic that said that 70-yard run, he finished like top 8 as far as miles per hour of any ball carrier this season. So I think DK Metcalf had the fastest speed, followed by Tyreek. Tyreek and Devin Achane are on half the list. Raheem Mostert's in there as well. But Derrick Henry still showing he still got some of those wheels, man. He still got some juice. And he definitely went out with a bang. And so the game got dicey there for a little bit, of course, namely turnovers by Tennessee and just inopportune times. The punter has the snap, hit him right in the hands, drops it, plays hot potato with it before he tries to trick it back off to Jacksonville. Tannehill gets outside himself and throws an interception and gives the ball back to Jacksonville as well. But Bad Trevor was back in full effect, man. He just wasn't sharp in this game, throws 2 turnovers himself, and also just missed opportunities. The goal line kind of try to dive above the line, and 2 failed sneaks. The first one, just a failed standard sneak. That 4th down when he tries to jump above the line and hold the ball out. They get no movement up front. I mean, kudos to the Tennessee front for stonewalling them like that. And that could have been, like I said, more or less the difference in the game, being that close to Pater and just not cashing in and turning the ball back over to the other squad. But I needed it all to happen, so I'm not mad at it at all. So great win by the Titans. Kudos to Mike Vrabel, man, getting that done for me out the door. And then I think the only other thing I had on this one as well, D-Hop finished with 7 catches, 46 yards, and 1 touchdown. He was 3 yards and 1 more touchdown short of hitting all of his contract escalators and bonuses. But the 7 catches did trigger a bonus for him. But 3 more yards, I think, would have been another $250,000. And then now another touchdown maybe was another $500,000. That maybe we're not going to get that. But the 3 more yards, I would have liked them to see them give him a little touch pass reverse, one of those, look, which is cheap, but you know what I'm saying, maybe something like that to just try to get him 3 yards, whatever, to get him another $250,000. But like I say, he falls 3 yards and 1 touchdown short of all the bonuses that were available to him, but he did cash in 1 for getting the 7 catches in this game.
Gotcha. And what do we know, Willie Jack? What do we know? I know you mentioned Derrick Henry, man, and I talked about him losing a step, but I also mentioned that a lot of his highlights come against the Jacksonville.
we
did talk about that. And what do you know? More highlights came on the Jacksonville Jaguars, man. And what better time to do it than the last week of the season where you ruin their chances to get into the playoffs. And this is one of those games where, for me, I took more from Jacksonville than I did from Tennessee in this game. And it was more so about them just, for lack of a better term, shitting down their leg, man. Like they just folded It was set up perfectly for them to actually come in here and get the W. You got a Tennessee Titans team who's been struggling all year long. You're supposed to be the best team in this division, and you go in here and you pretty much lay an egg. Trevor Lawrence, you don't show up. None of the other guys can really get it going, and it's just was an all-out struggle for this team. Then the lead was pretty much spread out throughout the majority of this game. It wasn't until like later in the game to where the Jacksonville Jaguars tried to make it a game, and Trevor Lawrence missed, I think, 2 or 3 throws in a row, which caused them to get that turnover on downs, and there you go. There's the game. So for the Jacksonville Jaguars, man, I don't know if Trevor Lawrence is still banged up. I don't know what's going on with Doug Peterson. I expected more. Being honest, I expected more from Doug Peterson. I expected him to be a little bit more of a difference maker when it came to this team. And truth be told, they looked the same as last year, if not worse. Last year, we saw more promise towards the end of the year for Trevor Lawrence than we saw at the end of this year. And I thought you were going to build off of that momentum, but instead, you still look like the same inconsistent team, even with even after adding more weapons. So I got a lot of question marks for this Jaguars, and going into next season, it's not smooth. Like, I don't feel like everything is 100% safe over there in terms of that head coaching job. If you don't start out on fire, if you don't start out doing some different things on this particular team, I don't think that leash is gonna be as long as most people think. And then for the Tennessee Titans, yeah, y'all, it's a full rebuild mode. I can't talk right now. Full rebuild mode for them after this season, especially after losing Mike Vrabel. You're gonna be losing Derrick Henry. DeAndre Hopkins is a little bit older. You still got Will Levis, but you got to build a lot around him in order to get this team back to where they need to be. So I expect them to have a couple growing pain seasons for the next couple years.
No, for sure. Yeah, they're definitely going to tear that thing down, man. Then we got a couple comments, and I put them on the screen, man. Our dog Tom, he's an AFC South rival. He said the Jags going to jag every time. And so, man, he's right. But I like what you said there as far as they didn't make any steps forward from last year. And I think you're exactly right. Coming off of the last year, what's interesting is the Texans or the Titans and the Jaguars. I saw a statement about it. They've knocked each other out of the playoffs the last 3 years.
Dang.
So 2 years ago, 2 years
ago. Last year, the Jacksonville Jaguars knocked them out because Dobbs ended up starting that game. Dobbs started for the Titans.
No, exactly. And then the year before that, the Titans beat the Jags again, and the Titans made the playoffs again that year.
Wow.
And so this is the 3rd year in a row where one of these teams has had the playoffs on the line, and then the other team has played spoiler. And so that's a crazy or interesting stat. And that's the nature of rivalries, like right there. You know what I mean? And so, but just like you said, man, coming off of last year, they win this game last year to get into the playoffs. They have a very impressive cover behind win against the Chargers. And so this year we looked for them to take that next step forward, and instead they floundered, just like my dog said. So they end up falling flat on their face. And like I said, man, I don't even necessarily feel bad about Peterson. I think Trevor pissed down his leg, man. I really feel like Trevor didn't take that step forward that they needed or expected to see, honestly. And like I said, and this is the outcome.
I agree with that, but this is the part that got me. It was the play that you're talking about when Trevor Lawrence tried to stretch over the offensive line to get to put the ball over the pylon. Well, not the pylon, but the
end zone line or whatever. Yeah,
to break the plane to get the touchdown. To me, I felt like he showed a lack of creativity, and to me, it felt like he was lost in that moment. Like if I feel like the moment was bigger than him, and he didn't know what to do in that particular situation. Because, of course, Trevor Lawrence is tall. Trevor Lawrence is 6'6". Trevor Lawrence, even in that situation from where the ball was placed, he's not tall enough to reach his arm. They weren't close enough for him to do that type of thing.
But no, they were on the inch line now. There
wasn't no inch. There wasn't no inch.
I thought it was like
they had about a yard and a half. A yard and a half to go. I'm telling you, Willie Jack.
No.
When I watched, but what I'm saying is I watched that sequence of plays, and it just to me, this is just how I felt. I could be wrong, but I felt like that was a situation where Doug Peterson, I think he could have called a better play or put them in a better position to go for that score rather than the last two plays he called on that drive, which end up being a turnover on downs. That's just my opinion on
it. Yeah, I mean that's one of those things. Like 4th and inches is almost like 3rd and 20. There's not there's only so many things you can do on either one of those. Because you remember, like they got a little movement on the 3rd down sneak, but they just not enough to put it in. And so I'm not mad at them because sometimes you can get too cute. So I'd rather we try to muscle it in than get too cute. You know what I'm saying? We go reverse option, triple, you know what I'm saying? Something like that. I would have been more pissed off at that. I'm not mad about like, all right, my big boys up front against your big boys, man to man. Let's put this thing in. We need a foot and a half. You know what I'm saying? I'm not mad at that, but like I said, they came up short. But yeah, no, I'm curious to see, man, how because what Trevor Lawrence is. This was year 3. I believe for Trevor Lawrence, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. And so he's got the other year and then the assumed 5th year option on that rookie contract. But this next year coming for Trevor Lawrence is really going to be a make or break year now because he's about to get expensive. And so he's got it. That step he didn't take forward this year. He's got to take it. He's got to take that step forward. He's got to take that next step forward next year. Absolutely. So just see how that pans out.
Absolutely. With you there, Willie J. On to the next game, man. We had the New York Jets go to New England to take on the Patriots. The Jets end up winning this game on the road, man. They win this with 17-3. There's not many times where we see the Jets go to New England to get that W, man. So kudos to the Jets for pulling that one off. Mm-hmm. But not all good news for the Jets. And just for the simple fact that Robert Saleh, this is it, man. This is it. This next year is it. I don't think anybody is going to care whether your starting quarterback gets hurt or not. It's going to be it. You know what I'm saying? You had that mulligan year this year where your starting quarterback got hurt, and you know, the rest of the season was pretty much like all right, whatever happens, we lost our guy. Next year is it, man. Next year is it. So I know he's probably hoping and banking that Aaron Rodgers is going to be there for him the entire season. If he is, cool. You know what I mean? And hopefully they are a successful team because that's going to be the sign or that's going to give owners and GMs the reason to say, all right, look, man, you either got it done or you didn't. You know what I'm saying? And for me, how I feel it, even when watching the what's the show? Hard Knocks. Even when watching Hard Knocks, I felt like, and it's just me, again, I feel like Aaron Rodgers had a little bit too much control over this team from the beginning. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know how much true control Robert Saleh has over this team now that Aaron Rodgers is in the building versus what he had maybe the year before. So I'm curious to see what this team is going to look like next year. But yes, they got a lot of work to do. And for the Patriots, they got a lot of work to do as well. And they got a few decisions to make in terms of who's going to be pulling the trigger for them at QB next year. You know, because it's obvious as of right now, the two that they have, Bailey Zappi or Mac Jones, will not be the future of this team. So
no, of course not.
They got a lot to figure out in terms of what type of moves they want to make this offseason in the draft. And then also, I'm curious to know, and Willie Jack, I really want to know too, man, in terms of your final decision. Do you think that the New England Patriots are going to keep Bill Belichick around?
Man, and here's a question as well. If he's not going to be there, why is he still there? We've had 2 days and nothing but firings. You know what I'm saying? Arthur Smith got fired at 12:03 Eastern Standard Time. You know what I'm saying? So the firing. I'm
gonna tell you why. I can tell you why. You know, because I've been a part of event planning before in my life. You know what I'm saying? So they're planning his going away party. You know what I'm saying? They're getting everything together. You know what I'm saying? You know, Robert Kraft, he ordering balloons and all that type of stuff. The man brought them boys. He brought them boys 6 championships, man. So he about to get himself together, man, and they about to throw a whole party for Bill. So it takes a few days to get that type of stuff together, man. They was procrastinating. That's all. Yeah. No, I'm just playing.
No, but honestly, man, like, and with the news coming from Vrabel, like, honestly, I'm really wondering if if the next coach is made like in conjunction with an announcement about Belichick moving into the upper room. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the only thing I could think of. That just makes so much sense to me that like that news is made as part of Bill will be officially taking over head of football operations. Let's welcome Mike Vrabel in as new head coach. Like it works together so that it's not at all seen necessarily as a firing, and it is more handled more as a passing of the torch. But yeah, I don't know, man. There's so much smoke there, man. I'm still on the side of I still want to see Bill on that sideline with the cutout sleeves and all. I still do. But outside of that, like I said, as far as this game goes, sloppy isn't the word. The explosion of points happened in the fourth quarter. There was in the history of ugly football, there was a point in the time where I think each team turned the ball over. There was like 3 turnovers between the two teams on one play. It was like an interception, then a fumble on the interception return, recovered by the Patriots, who then fumbled again on their fumble recovery from the interception they had just threw. So just ugly football all the way around. Bright spot in this game, Breece Hall was an absolute workhorse, 37 carries, 178 yards, and a touchdown in this one. And yeah, I guess the only touchdown scored in this one as well. Broke a 50-yard run in this one. But I don't know, man. Maybe it's my heart speaking and not my head. But unless it's Vrabel or if not Vrabel, I would imagine somebody with some style of family tied to the Patriots.
I was gonna say because I heard they really like Gerard Mayo too. Gerard Mayo is a coach over there, so they really like Gerard Mayo in house.
No, and he's a good candidate as well. And I like Gerard Mayo a lot as a player. I remember when he was coming out of Tennessee, man.
That boy was a banger, boy.
Oh yeah, hey, he was bringing wood for sure. And so yeah, he was a long time stalwart, and I think captain on that defense. Him and Brandon Spikes in the middle of that defense, if I remember right, back in the day. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, he's the guy that's been on that coaching staff now for a number of years. Now I don't think he trumps Vrabel. If Vrabel wants that job, hey man, sorry Mayo, what you want to do? You want to stay here and be the DC, or you want to move around, big dog? But we got Mike Graves in the building, dog. But no, I think that's actually a very quality offering as well. I think he's a name that there's been some. I think he's a name that's a little more under the radar, but I think he's been in that building, man, training school by one of the best. And so I'd be curious to see. I wouldn't be surprised at all to see if he's definitely getting looked at as well internally.
Gotcha. Absolutely, Willie Jack. All right, man, let's go ahead and take a quick break, Willie Jack. We're about halfway through the show, man. We'll take a quick break. Then we got the rest of the games coming up on the other side of the show. And then, of course, we got your Saturday games, man. We got some playoff games coming up this week, man. So real quick, we'll be right back. Y'all stay tuned.
Today's episode of Let the Film Speak, hosted by the wonderfully handsome and intelligent brothers of Let the Film Speak. That's Chop and your main man, Willie Jack. Yeah, feel me. Also brought to you by the Three Amigos. Y'all know them and you love them, man. That's the Three Amigos. That's like, that's share, that's subscribe. That's 3 the hard way. That's a 3-piece spicy. You cannot go wrong. Now, I say the same thing every week, so y'all can say that at home with me. I know y'all ready for it. Here we go. It's 3 Amigos. But it's 4 parts to this process, big dog. First, you just got to tap in. Like my dog said, man, come in, tap in. Just say what's up, man. Just holler. Hey, what's up, 3 Amigos, man? Like, share, subscribe. Hey, Chop, man. Willie, man, what's going on, man? It's cool I sit on the couch? For sure. Y'all got some cold to drink? Oh, man, my man. Yeah. Oh, yeah, by the way, man, I'm a Broncos fan. That's all you got to do. That's it. That's easy. And Chop, come in, sit down, get comfortable, get a cool adult beverage, and let us know who you ride with, big dog. Then tell a friend. Like, man, that's a nice feeling here, ain't it? Man, it's cool, man. My homeboy was out. He was down. Man, it's cool. I can tell a friend. Tell a friend, man. And you know what? Even better than that, you can tell your friend to tell a friend. Guess what? There's more. You can tell your friend's friend to bring his partner too. Bring one more because we need 4, man. Bring them up into the penthouse. Tap in with your dogs, man. Wednesdays at 7 o'clock. You know we don't wear no watches. We ain't got nowhere else to be but in here kicking football flavor with the fam. And now back to the regularly scheduled program. All
right, man. And what better way to start the second half of this show than to talk about your boy, Willie Jack?
For sure.
Well, I've seen so many memes come out about your boy, Jameis Winston, boy. I can't wait to talk about him, man, because that was funny, man. We got the Atlanta Falcons. Man, they go to New Orleans to take on the Saints. Saints end up taking care of business in a blowout fashion, man. They win this game 48-17. Willie Jack, go ahead and talk to me, bro.
Yeah, man. And so this game, definitely got out of hand in the second half.
Yeah.
And so it was a tie ball game at halftime. It was 17-17 because the Falcons just get blanked in that second half. But I guess there's a lot of stuff we can talk about. We'll get to the nitty gritty. So to close out this game, 41-17. Tyrann Mathieu gets an interception, and he could have ran it back.
I don't know what happened with him or what was going on in his head.
Yeah, it was like I was like, was he trying to score? It looked like he was trying not to score. Maybe he's trying to waste time, but I don't know. But he didn't want that pick six for whatever reason, and so he takes his time. He gets down. He goes down at the 1 yard line, and then of course the now infamous play. Dennis Allen sends in Jameis Winston in victory squad formation, and to take the knee, you know what I mean, to be respectful at the end of the game, take a knee at the 1 yard line. And what instead do we have unfold? But Jameis handing the ball to Jamal Williams for a 1 yard touchdown dive into the end zone out of the victory formation.
Hey, bro, do you know how ridiculous that is?
That is ridiculous, bro.
They ran a fake victory up 41-17.
Come on, man.
Like, okay, listen, this is the thing. I'm all for, bruh, just you gotta stop us, bruh. I'm all for that because it's like, bruh, I ain't gotta take no knee if I want to. I want to score. But I'm not gonna do a fake victory formation to try to do it.
Exactly, bro.
That's how ridiculous it was, bro. Like, oh my god. And then I watched the interviews afterwards, man. I just me and Zach the Mac, me and ZB at work been cracking up about this Jameis Winston. And ZB is like, hey man, he wish he was Jameis Winston friend, bro. the dude gotta be the funniest dude on earth, bro.
And that's a fact, bro. That's a fact. And this the only thing I don't like about it. If you're gonna score, then line up and score.
Right.
Go goal line package, run a dive. Don't be a hoe about it. That's why I don't like it. It was hoe activity, bro. Like, don't, because when you line up in the victory formation and it's the way they did it, it's Bush League, bro. Like it was Bush League. If you want to get that score and the excuse or the emptiness for the move was, well, you know, Jamal didn't have any touchdowns this year, man. You know, let's get him one. One won't hurt. Well, okay, then line up in wing T or whatever you want to do and hand it off to him. Like, don't line up in the victory. The defense, you know, it's a gentleman's agreement. Like, all right, hey, y'all got us, man. Y'all got us. Game over. Take your knee. We'll run it out. Everybody dap each other up, man. Y'all stay healthy for the playoffs or whatever. We'll just get out of there. But then when you fire off and run that play for real, this is why I don't like it. What if somebody on the Falcons would have got injured or rolled up because of that Bush League play? Yeah. Because you know what it makes me think of, bro? Remember, like probably 5, 6, 7 years ago, and y'all not gonna maybe not remember the name or the guy right off the top of your heads, but Greg Schiano. Okay. Greg Schiano was the coach at Rutgers. He coached Ray Rice. No, I think, did Ray Rice come from Rutgers? Anyway, he coached at Rutgers. He got a head coaching job with the Buccaneers. And the Buccaneers, early in the season, they're playing Eli Manning and the Giants. The Giants are taking a knee to concede the game or whatever the case. Greg Schiano coaches the Bucs to fire off full strength into the Giants offensive line at the end of a game that was lost or won, nothing at all. And it almost started a brawl on the field because you run the risk of injuring guys. You know what I mean? Like, guys could get hurt there. Because if I'm taking a knee and you fire off, it's like, Chop, in practice, if it's walkthrough and you going against the scout team and walkthrough, and then every time, you know, people used to call them scout team warriors, whatever. But it sometimes it's that one where he's going 110, like we got pads on, and you know what I'm saying? Like, that's how guys get hurt. You know what I'm saying? So, like, that's why I don't like it. If y'all want to get that touchdown, then line up and get the touchdown. But don't sucker punch me for the touchdown when I'm down 40 points. I'm down 40 and you still got to sucker punch me, dog? And, like, Calais Campbell got rolled up in that thing. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times, like, guys might have had their chin strap might not have been in, mouthpieces ain't in. Right. Guys might have unbuckled their pads.
They chilling. It ain't no play. We're not running.
It's a gentleman's agreement, bro. It's an unspoken gentleman's agreement between both sides. Like, hey, you know what I'm saying? Boom, this one's over. We got you. You talk our shit and, you know what I'm saying, whatever. But the way they did it, bro, is why I don't like it because now, if I'm a defense,
we got to go down. It's the last play of the year. No suspension.
And that's what I'm saying, bro. I'm offended.
We about to get him out.
James had to see me, bro. And Jamal Williams. It was, man, it could, man, what if they'd have piled on Jamal? Because it was like an ugly dive he fell in. Boy, what if it was 3 big boys on there booing, man, whooping his ass under there? And I wouldn't have felt bad about it at all. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is the type of stuff that, like, there's just no reason for it, bro. And not the way you did it. If you're going to do it, then do it. But don't be no hoe about it. That's why I can't get on board with it the way they did it. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man. Jameis, if there was ever going to be a shot for Jameis to be somebody's starting quarterback, he killed it right then and there. He killed it right then and there. And I know Shannon Sharp, you know what I'm saying, his call for Jameis to be cut right now, and maybe he will. Because I don't know if Dennis Allen, I'm surprised Dennis Allen didn't get canned as well, honestly, going into this offseason with the job he did this year, trying to lead that Saints team. But if Dennis Allen is still there, yeah, Jameis is out of here. And if Dennis Allen is gone, if I'm the new coach, Jameis ain't sitting in here poisoning my huddle. What's it say about me as the coach when I send in a play and you know what I'm saying?
And my backup does what he wants to do. Not even my
backup changing my calls.
This ain't even my starter. This ain't even a starter.
Yeah, like, bro, like we let you in the victory formation so you can get your knee dirty. You know what I'm saying? Your jersey's clean, Jameis, because you're the backup, buddy. Like, what are you doing? You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't wash your jerseys after the game, bro. We don't wash your pads, bro.
Oh my God.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we let you get some burn. You get the log of snap in this game. You know what I'm saying? So I think Jameis really, and I've been a Jameis apologist. Chop will tell y'all, I'm one of the few who has defended Jameis and his ability to play professional NFL quarterback for a number of years now because of some of his actual abilities. But nah, bro, you can't have this. This ain't the type of action you can have from your quarterback, bro. The quarterback, he's above the fray of the rest of the team, but he is still below the ownership. But he's got to walk that line between the both of them. Like, the quarterback's got to be the guy who, when me, Chop, and anybody else, when we trying to go out late and kick and risk curfew, the quarterback's got to be the guy that says, hey, man, put that last one down, bro. We got a game tomorrow. Like, he's got to be that guy. He can't be the guy, but like, shit, pull him up. The quarterback can't be, you know what I'm saying? Like,
y'all got some crab legs.
Man, hey, where the crab, man, bring the crab leg, another round of crab legs for my dogs. Man, no, Jameis, hell no. So like I said, I don't imagine. I'm very curious to see what they do. Obviously, he's very popular in that locker room because not only did he, even if he suggested it, but the fact that everybody rolled with him, he's got a lot of pull in that locker room. He's really got a lot of pull in that locker room. So I'm curious to see what they do going forward. You've got to find a way to discipline them, but I don't know what they do. But I tell you this though, bro, Jameis, it's your last stop. I don't know who's gonna bring you in, knowing that this is the things we could deal with. You know what I mean? So that was crazy, bro.
Yeah. So
that was wild.
But yeah, in terms of the game, Willie Jack, the Saints and Falcons both had opportunities to make the playoffs. It really just depended on what would happen with the Bucs. And turns out that didn't matter. The Saints ended up winning this game, but they still didn't make the playoffs. So both teams are out. And just like you, Willie Jack, I'm kind of surprised that Dennis Allen still has his job as of right now. Now, who knows? We still got, it's only, 3 or 4 days after the season has been over. So I would imagine we may see 1 or 2 more coaching changes. But as of right now, the Saints head coach, Dennis Allen, still holds his job. So we'll see what happens with the rest of this. Speaking of what we got, you saw something like you saw something.
I know. I'm just reading something there. My dog. Hey man, day one game Jarrell just slid into the building. Matter of fact, but yeah, man, he got some comments in there. He got a couple. He was some of the stuff I guess I said he was repeating in the chat. But yeah, as a matter of fact, he said maybe he knew this was it. This was his retirement play. He knew he was out of there. Like, man, hey, I don't know what he was thinking. I don't know, James. Come on, man. And then ZB said, nah, man, we still need James in the league, man, to cause the chaos that he's known for. But like I said, man, I just don't understand how he's going to explain this to – because ownership and coaches, for one, and then ownership, they not playing no games, bruh. They don't play these games. You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't. They fired a photographer because Tyreek Hill took his phone and did a backflip. Photographer didn't do nothing but stand there, and the man took his phone and did a backflip. They fired a photographer for not upholding the standard of the shield. Like, that's how lofty the NFL sees themselves.
That's right.
And that's You know what I'm saying? So like NFL and ownership, they're not playing about stuff like this, bro. You know what I'm saying? Especially for a turnover machine who talks too much. You know what I'm saying? And to be the backup, like, bro, you like, what are you doing?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So we've seen this league get rid of guys for less.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? And so yeah, Jameis, bro, that's career suicide is what this was, big dog. And you didn't, and nobody did this but you yourself, bro.
For sure. On to the next, Willie Jack. And speaking of this division, and speaking of the team that did make it to the playoffs, the Bucks went to Carolina to take on the Panthers. They win this game 9-0, man, and a very, very, very ugly game, man. A very sloppy game. I expected the Buccaneers to be able to put up a few more points than just that 9 that they were able to put up, but they wouldn't. The game was the game, and luckily they still came away with the W, and they locked themselves in the playoffs. And they'll be in that Monday night game, which will be one of the games where I'm like, hey, I don't even know who to pick as of right now. I'm gonna have to really do some soul searching and some contemplating on that Monday night game as to who I feel like I want to go with in that particular game. But needless to say, Buccaneers come with the W in this game. So they entered the playoffs. Baker Mayfield, in his first year as a starter, they locked themselves in there. And for the Panthers, man, what a way to go out, man. Just 0 points and to a already bad year. And what's crazy, Willie Jack, so me and Willie Jack has been talking about this Jamal Williams and David Montgomery thing, or take that I said that he had a while back. And I went back and looked into one of our older episodes, and the episode that I came upon was the draft pick of the draft trade from the Panthers to the Bears. And the Panthers gave up so much for Bryce Young. They gave up so much for their pick. And now what they have to show for that is Bryce Young, and I don't know how they'll be able to build or try to, get some talent around him besides like maybe in the free agent list or later in the draft to get some steals to kind of help him grow as a starter in this league, because he is going to be the starter going into this second year. But now you just have to figure out, all right, who's going to be the coach that I trust the most to get this job done? All right, now who are the players that I feel like can come into my organization and help Bryce Young grow? You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of things, and if there's one team that's probably I don't think there's any team that's in worse shape right now going into the offseason than the Carolina Panthers. So they have a lot to do, a lot going on, and yeah, I just don't know where this team goes going forward. But that's why the head guy that they bring in here is going to be the most important guy.
No, and just like you said, man, as far as the game goes, Buccaneers, they need to win this game 1-0. So 9-0 still got them into the dance where they need to be. So a win is a win is a win all day long. And they're NFC South champions. Kudos to them. Kudos to Ty Bowles. Kudos to Baker Mayfield, man, for really reviving his own career. But I think, man, just and we've talked about it before, but man, my dog ZB, he summed it up perfectly. Who on earth wants that Panthers job? You know what I'm saying? Like, there's just like you said, and just like ZB saying, there's not much of any upside, because Bryce Young already was a 5'6", 4'7" running quarterback, so he's not many people's cup of tea as is. You know what I'm saying? And then besides that, there's just not a lot of talent going on. And then if you can get over the fact you got a 5'6" quarterback, if you can get over the fact you don't have any draft picks because you spent them all to get the 5'6" quarterback, you can get over the fact that we don't have any players to really help boost this thing up. You still got probably a guy who's trying his damnedest to be the worst owner in the league. And so just like I said, so there's nothing there.
You still might get a drink thrown on you.
You still might get a drink thrown at you. You know what, David? I take it back. Jameis might got one shot in his ass. Because him and David Tepper might hit it off. Him and David Tepper might hit it off.
Tepper's over there like, you calling your own fake victory formations? This might be the place for you, big dog.
Hey, look, he's like, look, Carolina scored 12 touchdowns all season. He like, man, look, James, you off creative, boy. Maybe we try to get touchdowns out of the victory, man. We'd have scored more. Who knows? When Tepper threw a drink, that lets me know. You know what Tepper was drinking? Hennessy. Only thing make it like that.
There's not another drink.
That's not another.
He had to be.
That's not another drink. David Tepper drinks Hennessy, and you know what goes good with Hennessy? crab legs. That's man, we done fixed it. We done solved it.
Hennessy and crab legs, bro.
Hennessy in Carolina all day. Yeah, for sure. But nah, man. The only thing in this game, like I said, Tampa Bay just had to find a way to get a win. Good, bad, ugly, cripple, or crazy, they got it done. And so they are going to the playoffs, man. They're going to host a struggling Eagles team at the crib. And so, hey, this is the best matchup they could have asked for. I don't think you want to play a hot Rams team. And then with Rams, you don't want to play, I think, a hotter Packers team. And so out of the teams
nobody
that are
else
traveling,
in the NFC they don't want to play.
That's the best out of those three traveling teams. The Eagles are the team that's in the worst spot right now, and so they've got a chance to not only, like I said, make the playoffs, but get that home game. And like I said, you might catch a struggling Eagles team slipping, man, if they can't rebound or recover. So we'll see what they do going forward.
Absolutely. Keeping it pushing, Willie Jack. We have the Chicago Bears go to Green Bay to take on the Packers. Packers win this game at home 17-9. 17-9. Willie Jack, what's you taking this one?
Man, winning in, man. Packers definitely needed this one. I think we both picked the Bears to maybe play spoiler in this one as well. And I selfishly as well, I wanted the Bears to get a dub. I thought that this was going to be a game for me that Justin Fields finally like wins over ownership as far as like he had been on such a hot run. And I hate that he ends his season on probably the worst performance he's had in probably about 2 months. Because he had been playing very, very good ball for the most part over this last month and a half or so. Maybe not full, but over this last month and a half or so. And I feel like this was his worst performance from over that period. And I hate that this is the last time we're going to see him because his future is still so much in the air. But if you're the Packers and Jordan Love, way to show up, way to show up and get it done. Jordan Love goes for over 300 yards and 2 touchdowns in this game, doesn't turn the ball over. Aaron Jones has a very good performance as well, 22 carries, over 100 yards, another 30 yards in the air as well. And this is against a very stingy Bears defense. Now, Montez Sweat in the game, they've been playing damn good defense over there now since he got there, since that trade with the Commanders. And so still a tougher hard-fought game all the way around. I think it was a 1-point game at halftime. Not a lot of scoring. I think it was 7-7 or no 7-6. The Bears only had 9 points. So 7-6 at halftime in this game before the Packers make the plays in the second half to kind of separate themselves. And then thanks to No Smart Part 2, and I had to write his name down, rookie receiver Dontavian Wicks has 2 touchdowns in this game. You know what I'm saying? Hey, I've been working on it, dog. I've been working on it, man. Dontavian Wicks gets two touchdowns here. Jaden Reed, who's really came on, I want to say these last 2-3 games, he has another big one, 4 catches for 112 yards as well. And so this Packers team now, you look like you found something with Jordan Love. Jordan Love, every week now, he's doing his Aaron Rodgers little 1-2, but he's doing more and more of these fadeaway. My feet are off the ground and I'm slinging it, and he's putting a lot of them holes on them. Excuse me, a lot of them on the money.
It's all good with Jack.
I got caught up just talking to my dog.
Sometimes you got to get to him raw, dog.
I got caught up talking to my dog. But yeah, you know, he's looking like I said, that he's doing exactly what they wanted him to do. Like I said, it was a controversial draft pick. It was rough and ugly in the building for, you know what I'm saying, a little icy at times between him and Aaron Rodgers, and it looks like they found that guy. And then it was a rough going, especially the first half of the season. But now we've got all these young players showing up, making plays. I don't remember saying Dontavian Wicks' names all season. Mm-hmm. And a room full of rookies, rookies and second-year guys, and then they still found another one that came out of nowhere, gave us 2 touchdowns in the game, in a playoff game. You know what I'm saying? And so they've got a lot of young talent on that team. And Green Bay's front office, man, is as consistent as they come, man. They find a way to keep those cupboards full, and now they're going to the dance. Or excuse me, they got a ticket to the dance.
Absolutely. And what a time for Jordan Love to be evolving as a quarterback, man. It can't be a better time for him to do that, especially going into the playoffs. This is where he can really showcase his talent. There's going to be all eyes on him. You know, he didn't have very many primetime games this year, but every game is primetime when you're in the playoffs. So all eyes are going to be on him, watching him every single play, watching his performance, and this is a perfect opportunity for him to establish himself amongst some of the better QBs in the league. A lot of last year, people were. And very early in this year, people were wondering like who he is as a QB. We saw inconsistencies. We saw, like I said, the ups and downs. So now with him hitting his stride, if he can keep this going, there's no telling how far he can take this team, because we all know the importance or how much of an impact a great quarterback can have on a franchise, on a team, and helping a team get to victory. So I'm curious to see what he's going to look like against this. I think they got Dallas in the first round. I'm curious to see what he looks like on the road going against Dallas and their ferocious pass rush. So that's going to say a lot. But here's also one where I want to give the Bears their kudos, man. I want to give them their kudos because I want to revisit this trade they made, right? Now we've talked the last month or so about how Justin Fields was improving, how he was getting better, how he was building a connection with Cole Kmet and DJ Moore on the outside, and how the defense was starting to play better. And I definitely think even with this loss, the Bears were moving in the right direction going into this offseason. So now I want to revisit the actual trade that they made with the Carolina Panthers that actually puts them in this much better situation going into this offseason. Mm-hmm. So the one that everybody knows is they have the Carolina Panthers first overall pick this year. So they're sitting at number 1 right now. But here are some of the other things they got in that particular trade. So they sent their number 1 overall pick last year to the Carolina Panthers in exchange for DJ Moore and another 2023 first round pick. So they had a 2023 first round pick. They also got a second round pick last year. This year they get their first overall pick, and they also get a second round pick for next year. So not only do they have 2 first round picks, and the crazy part is they got this first overall pick, they can actually trade this one for something similar to another team that's desperate and get even more draft capital for the year following. So this team could very well put themselves in playoff contention depending on the weapons that they add. They can put themselves in playoff contention, and then also prepare themselves to get even better as the years come. So I really like what the Bears did. I really like where they stand right now, and I like how they look right now as they're going into this offseason, Willie Jack.
No, and I think you're exactly right, man. Like I said, they got ammo now. There's bullets in the chamber, but we got to see if they're gonna hit some targets. Is the only thing there. And then the funny thing, I guess, with that coaching staff, Eberflus is in, but both his staffs on the offense and defense have been let go, so they're gonna configuring like all of those guys, and I guess they're going to give Eberflus one more shot, and that makes me think that Justin Fields probably is going to still be there, because I don't know, because if you're going to start with a new guy, then you might as well start fresh with a new coach.
Right.
And so the fact that Eberflus they've cleaned his staff out, but they're going to keep him, it almost sounds like, okay, like this is it. You know what I'm saying? Like Mike McCarthy was last year. Okay, Kellen Moore's gone. This is it, Mike. And then Mike, we saw Mike show up in a big way this year. And so now I think if I was 60-40 that they were going to move on, now I think I switch it. And now I'm maybe 60-40 that they do keep Fields and they still move that number 1 pick to add even more ammo to all those picks you just talked about. And they really go all in and try to load this thing on up, which I think is the good move. I think me and you both wanted them to keep Fields anyway.
Yeah,
so I'm with it. So I'm not mad at that at all.
Gotcha. On to the next one, Willie Jack. We had the Denver Broncos. They go to Las Vegas to take on the Raiders. What happened in this game?
Man, Raiders in their note in their season on a high note, man. And so, biggest story for me here, Antonio Pierce goes out with a bang. I hope he gets that job. And honestly, the transformation we saw from that team almost instantaneously from when he took over from Josh McDaniels, the way that team responded, the way they not only responded, but the way they performed. I think it can't be understated. And I actually saw that I think Tennessee has requested permission to interview Antonio Pierce for a head coaching position. And I would love that fit, because Antonio Pierce is a guy who, and I don't know, I'm not, just on the surface, he gives me the feel of a guy like Vrabel. He was a player. He was a hard-nosed player. You know what I'm saying? And the way he handles his team, and from what I see from him, I think he kind of gives me that feel. So I can see that being a real thing. So if you're the Raiders, don't trick this off. You know what I'm saying? A bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. You got a quality guy right there in house who I think has shown more than enough in the way he handled his business and the way that team responded to him, the way this season concluded. And like I said, they got a chance to go out with a bang. And so I would love to see him hold on to that job.
Absolutely, Willie Jack. And I want to see if they give him an opportunity as well. On the other hand of that, I'm not 100% sold on him as the head coach. And this is the reason, and I talked to Zach DeMack about this too, is because when you're going through a season and you're going through a lot of bad things, a lot of turmoil, the players and everybody in the organization, they're just happy for some change. They're happy to get somebody new in there, and a lot of times that's a breath of fresh air. You know, so with that breath of fresh air, yes, he did a pretty good job, but starting a whole new season fresh is a different animal. You know what I'm saying? So not saying that he doesn't deserve it, but I just want to temper expectations for people who, if he does get this job, for people to understand, like, there's still going to be some things he's going to have to go through and grow through. So with that, I would love to see him get a head coaching opportunity and get his shot at trying to lead a team. You know, so I'm really looking forward to seeing that. And then for the Broncos, I want to see what their off season looks like as well, because obviously Russell Wilson is out of there. And there's a lot of different changes that this team is looking to make. So I want to see what they look like as well. But, you know, in terms of the game, Raiders win that one. And, I mean, the two teams just going into the offseason looking to make changes. So that's where I'm at.
Oh, and then real quick on this one, man, speaking of those Raiders, our dog ZB, man, he had posted earlier, I couldn't get to it, but that he's thinking Devontae is going to be on the move this offseason to the Jets. And I think he said that Garrett Wilson had put in to change his number.
I looked it up. I saw Zach comment on it. I looked it up, and it looks like the punter gave him the number. Took a picture with him giving Wilson a number, which makes sense because Garrett Wilson.
What number is that?
Number 5. Because Garrett Wilson is number 5.
Oh, this is his Ohio State.
Yeah. So, hey man, the numbers open up, baby. Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams connection, baby.
No, and I don't doubt that the Jets would want him. Even though they none of Aaron Rodgers' other offseason additions were worth anything, but I don't doubt that they would want him there. But honestly, the Raiders, with them not moving them at the trade deadline, and I don't think the Raiders let him go. Honestly, I think the Raiders are gonna hold on to him because he's gonna be part of the pool that they have to entice a Bill Belichick or a Jim Harbaugh or whomever it may be. To come into the, you know, to want that job. So I think they hold on to him.
I got you. All right, well, we'll see, Willie Jack. On to the next game, man. I got to shout out dog out on this one, Willie Jack. I got to shout out dog out. Macaroni Tony Miles is in the building, man. Got to shout him out because he made this call. He told us that the Giants were going to come in here and beat the Eagles.
He did.
We're not going there because the Eagles went to New York, but he told us the Giants were going to take care of business against the Eagles. And did they? Yes, they did. The Giants took care of business. They won this game at home, 27-10. And of course, the Giants are out of the playoffs, you know. So, you know, there's only so much with them going into this offseason. Looks like of course, Brian Daboll is going to get another opportunity to see what they can do next year. I wonder I guess Daniel Jones has to be their starting quarterback going into the next season with them missing a lot of games and with them paying him $40 million a year. You know, but there's a lot of other question marks.
$40 million man.
Is Saquon Barkley going to still be in the building come next year? You know what I'm saying? And what other pieces do they decide that they want to bring in over there as well? So I'm looking to see what moves the Giants decide to make going into this offseason. But the Eagles, man, they're going into the playoffs. They started off as one of the hottest teams in the league. Started off with 10-1, Willie Jack. 10-1. And now, to this point of their last, 6 games, they lost 5 of them. And that's a very, very bad place to be in. They don't look like the same team that started this season off at all. At least the team that started the season off was strong against the run, was able to run the ball a little bit, and was able to find ways to win games and score points. AJ Brown was doing his thing. So there was a lot of things that they still had going for themselves to help them win these games. Right now, they don't look to have any of those. They don't look like the run game is doing good. They can't pass the ball. They can't stop anybody on defense. This team is looking terrible right now, and they have to go and see the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So I'm not sure what this is going to hold or what's going to happen with it, but this team has to pick it up and I don't know, figure out something if they want to have a chance in the playoffs.
No, this for me, man. And you know what? I don't know. I don't know if I've seen him in the chat or not, but shout out to our dog BP, man, and those boys and girls over at No Boss No Glory, man. I tuned into their show last night, and so they put up a poll in their chat asking like which team had the biggest collapse or the biggest failed season or biggest. I forget how they worded it, but it was the Jaguars, Eagles, and I think there was a 14 poll, and I think the Jaguars end up winning the poll for the biggest flop or biggest whatever. But I voted for the Eagles, and because just like you said, how strong they looked last year, dominant from pillar to post, just completely dominant, and 2 plays away from being Super Bowl champions. And just everything that we saw from that team on both sides of the ball, offensively and defensively, and then to see them this year, because the thing we said about this team all year, even during that 10-1 run, was, man, they winning. Man, it don't quite look right, man. It don't feel the same, and it don't look right. You know what I mean? And so, and then to see just how drastically that, I mean, they've fallen is really a shock. And I think, and honestly, man, and I think what our dog, man, ZB said, he's calling in his shot in the chat as well, man. He said he's got the Bucks taking that game Monday, and he said he's sorry, Darrell, but man, I'm telling you, man, that's a pick'em game. I mean, and it shouldn't be. This should be a team that's one's clearly more talented, one's clearly more like I said, they're fresh off of championship experience. So one of these teams is, you know what I'm saying, their teeth are already cut for these moments. You know what I'm saying? We've got a Bucks team that's rebuilding, trying to find second life after Tom Brady, and you're doing it with Baker Mayfield. You know what I'm saying? And so, but man, I tell you, the Eagles have got to be scared scared out of their mind that they could be one and done, and this can really put the nail in just a terrible season for them. And then it's to the point where last year's NFC champion coach, Nick Sirianni, there's reports now his job's on the line. A year removed from being 2 plays away from being Super Bowl champions, his job's on the line this year. Like, that's how bad it's gotten Philadelphia. And man, that's crazy. And the thing about it is, Chop, well, before Sirianni got this job, they fired Doug Peterson 2 years off the Super Bowl. So they'll do it. And Doug Peterson won his, Chop. Doug Peterson won his, and 2 years later they give him the boot. Sirianni got there and had a good show. So it's not at all far-fetched that, man, they made the Lurie family, boy, they may do what they got to do, man. And if they do, shit, boy, who's lining up for this job? You know what I'm saying? No, I mean that in a good way. I'm saying, like, people are gonna want this job because there's pieces there. Like, I think Sirianni, he lost both coordinators, and I don't think as a whole everyone took into account how devastating of a loss those coordinators were to this team on both sides of the ball. And I think that's evidence because look what those coordinators did at their next stop. The Cardinals should have been a dumpster fire. They should have threatened the Lions record for 0-17. Shit, they got wins against the Eagles and the Cowboys. Won 5 games, and they were competitive all year long with Kyler Murray and James Conner sitting in the ice tub on IR. And then look at the job that Steichen did with the Colts, with Gardner Minshew coming in as a backup, and hell, they half a game out the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? And so he lost 2 very talented coaches, and the guys they had fill those roles, man, failed miserably in those roles. And now Sirianni may be a victim of that as well. But man, this is a terrible place to be, man, as far as if you're an Eagles player or Eagles fan. So, like I said, sorry, Day One Gang. I know it's the squad, dog, but man, it's
we gotta tell it like it T.I. is, brother.
Like it T.I. is. And then another thing too, we can't forget, as ugly as this game is, 24-0 at halftime, Giants are up, but Jalen Hurts doesn't finish the game because his finger got broken 4 places. You know what I'm saying? Like, or whatever happened. You know what I'm saying? So, man, this is just man, whatever could go wrong did go wrong for these Eagles this year, it looks like. And so, man, it's ugly, man. Like I said, man, it's not far-fetched at all to say the Bucks do get this win and being at home as well on a struggling team, a team that if Jalen Hurts plays, he's definitely injured. That was his throwing hand finger when it was his right
So,
finger.
and that's the crazy part because Jalen Hurts is questionable, DeAndre Swift is questionable, AJ Brown had a knee injury in this game. He's questionable. Devontae Smith missed this past game, so he's questionable in this game. So those are the guys. Those are the guys that make all the plays or
Man,
the
look.
plays for that offense. I mean, that offensive line is for sure that's the thing. The offensive line.
I mean, but they can't do nothing. Ain't nobody there to block for.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, that's these are rough times for the Eagles for sure, man. So we'll see what happens with Jack. We'll see what happens.
No doubt.
Keeping it pushing, man. We going to the NFC West. We had the Seattle Seahawks go to Arizona to take on those Cardinals that you just got done speaking about. And the Seahawks win this game on the road, 21-20. Willie Jack, talk to me.
Man, yeah, I this is a good game, man. And speak of the devil, man, we're talking about I just said his name.
Jonathan
Gannon. Not Steichen, the other one. Gannon, yeah. Gannon's Cardinals, boy, they got moxie, boy. They've been fighting all year long. Like from the gate, when they came out and damn near won their first 3 games, and one of the things we said there is like, oh, they didn't get the news flash. They were supposed to be tanking. You know what I'm saying? Like they showed all year long that they were here to fight, and then they had this one won. You know what I mean? And so it takes a late touchdown and 2-point conversion by the Seahawks to get this done. But like I said, man, if you're the Cardinals, I'm excited to see what these Cardinals look like, because Kyler Murray came back and played well with no weapons or production from anybody on the outside, anybody of note. You found a young budding star in Trey McBride at the tight end position. James Conner's looked better, and he was injured for a lot of this year. He's looked the best that I think he's looked since he was in black and yellow in Pittsburgh. Like he looks a step faster. I think he's leaned out a little bit. He looks like he's a little leaner, and he's definitely more explosive. He had himself a very a 200-yard day, a 200 total yard day, 150 on the ground and a touchdown, another 50 in the air. He goes out with a bang. I mean, there's some brighter days ahead. They've got good draft picks. They've got a top 5 draft pick. Could be Marvin Harrison Jr. Could be Malik Neck. I mean, there's some guys. There's some guys. So this could be a team, one of those worst to first stories. Well, maybe not worst to first in that division, but this is a team that if this draft falls the right way, boy, they're gonna be knocking up. They're gonna be coming for somebody's neck. You know what I mean? And so this could be a very opportunistic turnaround for these Cardinals if they have a favorable draft, just based on the bare bones of what we saw this year from a team that was supposed to be bottom of the barrel in this league.
Absolutely, Willie Jack. Absolutely. And I'm with you there. Close game too. Cardinals just lost this game. They end up missing 2 field goals in this game. I think that was part of the reason it cost them, even missing the game winner, and it was a 50.
Exactly. Themselves.
Normally Matt Prater bangs those. You know what I'm saying? Matt Prater, the strongest legs in the league. But this is one of those things where, for me, again, looking into the offseason, 2 teams didn't necessarily make the playoffs. But, of course, with Pete Carroll moving into this advisor role, what changes are going to be made in terms of this offense as well? Because I want to see a little bit more from this offense. We've been talking about Jackson Smith and Jigba going into the season. You know, we talked about Tyler Lockett, who we feel like may be out of the door. DK Metcalf came on strong the second half of the season. How can you help this offense evolve? Kenneth Walker is a guy. He's a guy now. And
he's got to stay healthy.
He has to stay healthy, but he has to continue to be used in a way where he is a true difference maker all season long. You know, so those are some of the things that I want to see, you know, with this team and who they decide to bring in to kind of take control of that offense, because this offense has the potential to be explosive. And then, like you said, with the Cardinals, they're in prime position to add some playmakers, to add some guys on that outside. Trey McBride has already proven to be, you know, one of the tight ends that's
a budding star
that's on his way up, and Kyler Murray likes him, you know, because a lot of times that's all it takes. It's once your quarterback builds that relationship with you, and you guys,
he's in the trust tree.
That build that trust. Hey, that's all it takes sometimes. So now it's just adding somebody else to help, you know, on the outside, and this offense can be different. James Conner has already been running like a man on fire. So there's a lot of things that this team has that they can kind of build off of. So we'll see what happens there.
No doubt.
To the next game, Willie Jack. We have the Kansas City Chiefs going to the Los Angeles to take on the Chargers. Chiefs win this game on the road 13-12, and I'll be quick and easy with this one, man. The Chiefs pretty much set their starters. Their spot was pretty much solidified in the AFC as the 3 seed, regardless of what happened, and that's where they're at. They're sitting at the 3 seed. They go to Los Angeles. They take care of business there. Their defense leads the way again, as it's been leading the way throughout this entire season. And now they're just gearing up and getting prepared for the playoffs, in which They welcome the
Dolphins.
The Dolphins. Yeah, they welcome the Dolphins to come in town, and I'm anxious to see what this is going to look like, because this is another team that hasn't looked like themselves, and now they got a team that can be very explosive, just depending on which version of them shows up. And now they have to defend their home and show that they still have an opportunity to, or they still are that team that can turn it on when it's necessary. So I'm curious to see what happens there. And then for the Chargers, man, this is one of the teams that was just all out of whack towards the end of the season as well. Of course, they lost their head coaches and their guys over there. So I'm who's the guy for that? And I know there's guys lining up for this job too, especially with the situation with their quarterback. It seems like they have a guy that they want to move forward with that's supposed to be their franchise guy, and they have some things to kind of build with. They have some things to start with, just like with the Atlanta Falcons. The only thing with the Atlanta Falcons don't have a franchise quarterback. The Chargers believe they have that guy, so now it's just a matter of putting the rest of the pieces together and getting a head guy in there to get things going. So that's what you got there, and that's what I'm looking forward to seeing in the playoffs and in the offseason.
Man, I ain't got nothing to say about this toilet bowl. The only thing to note, I guess, Chris Jones needed a sack in this game to cash about a $1.25 million bonus check. They made him work a little hard to get it, but he finally got it, and then he went and set it down. I know Kelsey was like 18 yards or 16 yards short of 1,000 yards, and he chose not to play in this game. I saw a clip of an interview with him and his brother on their podcast, and the team was behind him, playing a limited amount of stats just to touch the 1,000-yard mark. I think it would extend his record of 1,000-yard seasons by a tight end, but he said at the end of the day, it didn't feel right, man, just going out there chasing the number. And so he set it down. He wasn't worried about it. They got bigger fish to fry. They've got a lot to worry about as well, because they haven't looked like themselves all year. And now you've got a very pissed off and motivated Tyreek Hill who's still looking to get his lick back. He's still looking to stick it to y'all. And now he's coming back home to Kansas City in a game that's going to be absolutely frigid. 0 degrees is the high I think I saw, and then the low is -9 in Kansas City this weekend. So, boy,
coming from Miami, I got some stuff to play in, boy.
But even them up there in Kansas City, boy, don't nobody feel good about that. You know what I mean? But yeah, so like I said, they get this win, doesn't change the price of tea for them at all. You know what I mean? They were locked into their seeding, and so the biggest thing I think they got out of this game relatively healthy. Nobody new of note goes down, and now, like I said, they got bigger fish to fry this weekend, this Saturday night.
Absolutely, Willie Jack. Absolutely. And now, let's go and talk about my dogs, man. The Los Angeles Rams go to San Francisco to talk on the 49ers. And I ain't gonna play, man. The Rams win this game on the road 21-20. Pretty much nothing to play for either of these teams. Both of them had already locked them spots in the playoffs. 49ers got the number 1 seed, of course. Rams were either going to get the 6th or 7th seed, just depending on what happens in this game and what happens in that Packers game. We ended up winning, so of course that locks us in the 6th seed. So now we go see Detroit. We go see Detroit. We kind of already spoke about that one a little bit. Detroit is banged up a little bit, so I'm wondering if that's going to backfire against them. The Rams had an opportunity to kind of rest them players. Big shout out to Puka Nacua. They did end up playing him for the first half and maybe a couple plays in the third quarter. They got him their rookie record, so he now has the rookie record for receiving yards in the season. So shout out to him, man. Great job, Puka.
Man, put your phone on. Be a professional, Chop. Why ain't your phone on side?
See, I'm too professional because they calling me at work. You know what I'm saying? They calling me like I'm at work. I ain't at work. It's 8:45, man. I ain't picking up for nobody, man. I apologize, man. I apologize. But yeah, man, other than that, man, those are the things of note in that particular game. Both of these teams are pretty much just gearing up and getting ready for the playoffs.
No, for sure. And just like you said, nobody had anything on the line. Like I said, the Rams found a way to get it done. Puka gets those records, man. So kudos to him. A phenomenal year. You know what I mean? I recently published my personal, like I said, it's personal to me, but I recently published my personal All-Pro team, and I got Puka listed as an All-Pro, man. I put him as one of my All-Pro receivers because I think the job he did coming from nowhere and then leading that offense, being the spark for that offense that really got you guys off to such a high start. You know what I mean? And then when Cooper Kupp comes back, you know what I mean? Like Cooper, outside of maybe 2-3 games, Puka was still the guy. He was still the leader in that doghouse as a 5th round rookie from BYU. You know what I'm saying? And so he did a fantastic job. yeah, happy for all his success, and I'm happy he's got those records, man. So kudos and congratulations to Puka, and I can't wait to see what y'all do with Detroit, man, with just those storylines. Matt Stafford going back home, and now Shaman Van the Rams coming to see they old Boo and Jared Goff as well, man. So revenge game on both sides. I can't wait to see that one.
Who or Donald gonna have a field day? But anyway, on to the next
hey, hold on now. That Lions offensive line, boy. The Lions is the new Cowboys offensive line, boy. Panay Sewell, Frank Ragnow. Well, no, maybe not. They maybe not all the way across the line, but down that Lions offensive line ain't no slouch at all.
Hey,
that's gonna be
a
good
new
matchup.
Cowboys offensive line. I think you need to go watch some film of what Aaron Donald did to that the best center or best guard in the league. Yeah, I think I might watch that one, brother.
Maybe one of you, right?
But on to the next game, Willie Jack. Speaking of the Cowboys, that's a segue right there, man. The Dallas Cowboys go to Washington to take on the Commanders. Cowboys win the game on the road, 38-10. Willie Jack, talk to me, bro.
Man, Cowboys handled their business. You know what I'm saying? Dak caps off a spectacular season. He goes out with a bang, man. Just under 300 yards, 4 touchdowns. He did throw an interception off of it. It was a tip. Pass got tipped and got picked off. But other than that, I don't think it was much of any blemishes in his day. 31 for 36. Like I said, man, that Commanders defense and secondary specifically has been getting torched every way from Sunday all year long. And so this one didn't disappoint. I expected a big day from CeeDee Lamb. I think I called for him to get 2 touchdowns, but I thought he'd get somewhere close to about 120 yards. He gets 13 for 98 in those 2 touchdowns. TP had a decent day at 70 yards on the ground and a touchdown. And then the stars on defense, they get to pad the stats a little bit as well. Micah gets another sack. DeRon Bland gets another pick, and they get out of there with a blowout victory and really build themselves some momentum as they go into their playoff game against Green Bay.
Absolutely, Willie Jack. And hey, Dallas didn't Dallas. Well, the only thing that could possibly go wrong here is if Dallas, and they didn't Dallas, man. They sealed the deal by beating the Commanders, getting their number 2 seed, and they did it in style, man. With their bread and butter, it was Dak and CeeDee Lamb. You know what I'm saying? They kept the connection going. They got after the QB on defense. They got the turnovers. They did it the way that they've been winning games throughout this season and how they've been able to be successful. And quite honestly, Willie Jack, it's not a better time to be hot in the league right now. This is the perfect time to be hot going into the playoffs, and this can kind of carry you. Now, they didn't play well enough to get the bye, of course, but this is the perfect time to be hot. For the Commanders, another offseason, man. You got to find a coach. You got to find some guys, and you're going to have to find a quarterback too, man. I'm sorry, Willie Jack. I know you like your guy, but I'm not sure anybody new coming in will want to start with Sam Howell. I think if they have the opportunity, especially sitting, I think they had the 3rd pick, second or third pick.
Second pick.
Yeah, so if they're second pick, they're sitting in prime position to go ahead and get one of the top guys coming into the draft, and what looks to be a little bit of a stronger QB draft class. So I think that's where the Commanders are sitting. I think that's what the route they're going to try to go. And I wonder if they go ahead and make Eric Bieniemy their starting, their head coach, with him being already an offensive guy. Let him go get his guy, and they can build off of that.
Yeah, if Bieniemy wants that job, he might have some options.
You might be right.
He might want to walk around a little bit, see what's up.
You know.
You feel me? And so
Gotcha. All right, Willie Jack, let's go to our game of the week, man. The last game of the regular season, man. We had the Buffalo Bills go to Miami to take on the Dolphins. The Bills win this one on the road, 21-14, Willie Jack. And this was and I get out your way. I'll jump in real quick and I get out your way, Willie Jack. But big win for Buffalo. They finished the season off winning 5 straight. They jumped to the number 2 seed, man. We talked about how drastic that was, being a team that could potentially have been out of the playoffs to a team that jumped to the number 2 seed, man. So shout out to the Buffalo Bills for finishing as strong as they have. They still got some issues to work out. 3 turnovers. All deep in the opponent's territory, so they got to clean up there. Josh Allen has to play cleaner ball. He had a rough game too, but ultimately, they still were able to hold themselves together enough to win this game. Now they were bailed out by a couple of things. They had the tip pass high up in the sky, in which the guy caught the ball in the back of the end zone for the touchdown. Then they had the punt return, for another touchdown. to tie the game, and then they were able to put together that drive that ultimately ended up in the touchdown too. So shout out to the Bills for getting the job done, holding strong, and beating this Miami Dolphins team. So now, because of this win, Bills they're the number 2 seed, so they're playing home games all the way up until if they have to go against the Baltimore Ravens, and the Dolphins have to come all the way to Kansas City and play in 0-degree weather their first game against the Kansas City Chiefs, man. So I loved the game, high intensity. Teams were coming up and they was ready to play, but Bills end up taking care of business.
Yeah, no, and I guess I should maybe and I don't know, I'm gonna speak carefully here because if the Bills lose that game, my Steelers got to go play in the damn Antarctic in Kansas City if they would have lost that game. So if it's gonna be playing in the Antarctic in Kansas City or going to play in Buffalo, then I guess I'll take my chances in Buffalo. But now this game right here, man, was exactly it displayed the very best and the very worst of Josh Allen. Duality. That's a good word for y'all. The duality of Josh Allen, because when Josh Allen is one of those guys where he's a home run. He's a guy that he swings for the fences. You know what I'm saying? And Chop is a baseball player. He'll appreciate this. Sometimes you gotta know. Sometimes we just need contact.
Absolutely.
Every swing, every ball doesn't have to go 500 feet for to be a successful at bat. And that's the lesson that Josh Allen still struggles to learn. And so, just like I said, those 2 turnovers. Just completely on him. Learn when to hold them and learn when to fold them. Sometimes just let the play die. You know what I mean? Because we got another down to play. You know what I mean? So both those turnovers, just completely on him. He's booting out to the right on both of them and just refusing to die. You know what I mean? He just chucks one into the end zone for that first one. And then, both of them were in the end zone, but just plays that just weren't on anybody but himself.
The second one I wasn't as mad about because it was on a 4th and 2.
Yeah, it was
a 4th and 2, and nobody was open. So all right, let's take a chance, throw it to the end zone. That's essentially a punt. You know what I'm saying?
No, exactly. No, and you're right. And you are right.
It was the other 2 that I was about. Go ahead.
No, yeah, that first one though. The first one though for sure. But no, and you're right. In the grand scheme, that could be looked at as a punt on that second one for sure, no doubt. But you see, even the thing about that though, on the replay of that second one, he had Dawson Knox in the quick flat to the left, but see, he had kind of bailed right, and so he couldn't maybe couldn't get to it. But you know, in a perfect world, in hindsight, you know, maybe we just get that quick dump to the left, and Dawson Knox, it's only a 3-yard play. You don't have to get the 3 yards. Let's keep moving. You know what I'm saying? We don't have to kill him right now, but you are fair. It's a fair point on that second. It's essentially a long punt. But outside of that, then you get the other side of Josh. He went for over 400 yards in this game.
Crazy.
400 combined yards, 30 for 38 with those 2 interceptions. So 30 for 36 minus those 2 throws, that's over 75% completion. You know what I'm saying? So like he could put the ball anywhere he wants to on the field. And when he's, like I said, when he's dialed in to taking what's there and not creating my own opportunity, like just capitalize on the opportunity. You don't always have to create your own opportunity. And then he could be the most dangerous weapon in this league. And I've said, people know how I feel about him. And then also the thing as well, that the 4th down conversion on the run play, it was like a 3rd and like 8, where he's running, he breaks like 2 tackles, and then there's 3 guys in like a pincer, and he's gonna be like maybe 3.5 yards short. He gets through that, fights through it, and gets the first down. Like these are the plays that he offers that just, I don't know who else makes that. Like I don't know who else really makes that play. Not that way. You know, exactly. Like Lamar might get that first down a completely different way, but you can't always go left and right. Sometimes you got to go north and south, and I don't think there's anybody else that can go north and south in that way but him. You know what I'm saying? So that's what makes him so special. But this game really turned on that punt return by Devontae Hardy. They're down 14-7 at that point in this game. And not in small parts of them shooting themselves in the foot a little bit. And that was the spark they needed. And that really turned the game around. And then from there, of course, they go on and win this game. Tua he doesn't have the goods. He's got to win. He's got to win a certain way. And you know what I mean? And so he can't throw the ball outside the numbers for one. And so if he can't expose you in the seams, if we can't shake Tyreek Hill opening on a deep crosser, you know what I'm saying, or something like that, he struggles. And so when we've just got to drop back and let him air this thing out, namely on the outside, he throws 2 terrible passes and both of them get picked off on the last 2 drives, their last 2 drives of this game. And so, but yeah, man, just, at the end of the day, the better team, I think, won, and they get themselves in the dance. And like I said, they go from being like the 11th seed, 6 weeks ago before this stretch, to now being the number 2 seed. And like I said, man, they've got all home games in front of them to the AFC Championship game if they can get past my Steelers this Sunday.
Absolutely. And another point I'm making this game, Willie Jack, before we jump into some of the playoff game, for some of the playoffs games that's coming up, is the fact that I think we're starting to see the effects of them not having a legit offensive coordinator as of right now. Now I know they appointed somebody as the offensive coordinator, but this is not somebody
Joe Brady,
who's designed the offense, who he knows it probably from front to back, but knows all of the nuances of that particular playbook and the offensive plays. They're pretty much utilizing what they were left with towards the middle of the season. You can't in the middle of the season, you can't wipe away something and start over fresh. You have to utilize what you got, and you 9 times out of 10 you had to promote somebody who already had a duty of their own, so they're just trying to juggle things. So I think we're starting to see a few effects of that, and we're seeing Josh Allen being allowed to freelance more than he probably should be allowed to. Not saying you don't give Josh Allen full range. You want to give him full range of everything. But I think with a legit offensive coordinator in play, that the offensive coordinator can say, here, in this particular situation where we saw that long interception, hey, if they get this, if you see this front, know that you're going to have Dalton Kincaid on that quick flat to hit that pass, versus having somebody that calls that offensive play, don't know what's going to happen, what to look for, how that's going to play out, and just let Josh Allen do his thing. You know what I'm saying? Having an offensive coordinator in your ear to tell you some of those specific things can be a huge difference in games like this, and as they're going into the playoffs, so that just makes it that much bigger because of they're going into the playoffs with the number 2 seed. So now they get to play these games at home. They have a little bit of that advantage, but at the same time, they have to figure out ways in terms to make it easier on Josh Allen, make the decision making easier on him, and not let him get too outside of just the structure of their offense, and allow them to make just some regular, decent or plays, and not try to hit the home run every single time. So I think that's an aspect that we're seeing too. We're seeing a little bit of that, Willie Jack.
Yeah, more doubles. We don't need 70. Well, we would like 70 homers, but we don't have to have 50 homers. 50 homers and 50 more points on your average is what we need.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Take a little steam off.
Absolutely.
More doubles, and let's say we'll win more games with you hitting more doubles.
Gotcha. Absolutely, Willie Jack. I'm with you there. All right, Willie Jack, man. That is it. That is the end of the season, man. There you have it. There are all the games that are played within the 2023-2024 regular season. We appreciate all y'all for being here. We still got some stuff. You know what I'm saying? We still got some stuff. But we got to come through with these games. All right,
let's get into it.
Come through with these games. Now, Willie Jack, real quick, do you got a performer of the week, man, from this past week? Do you got one?
You know what? I didn't think about right off the top of my head. I'm gonna go Dak Prescott, man. Like I said, so just finished out a very strong and stellar year from Dak, man. Like honestly, like I said, I had him as my first team All-Pro quarterback for this year. I think top to bottom, I think he was consistently the best statistical quarterback. Now, Brock Purdy's got an argument to say there as well as far as overall seasons goes. But like I said, handle business. A team, you should go and kick that team in the face, and that's exactly what they did. 4 touchdowns. They did get the tip pass interception, but 4 touchdown day to carry yourself into the playoffs. I'll give it to Dak Prescott.
Gotcha. And I'll go C.J. Stroud with mine, Willie Jack. Not because of the specific numbers, but this big game, being a rookie, you having to win this game in order to get into the playoffs. And not only do you win this game, but your team ends up winning the division in your rookie year, in the year where you were supposed to be probably the last finishing team in your division. Instead, y'all come out, y'all win the division in your first year. So shout out to CJ Stroud for doing that. Nico Collins with a big game, and D'Amico Ryans. That trio right there.
No, I like that too. Yeah.
Gotta give it to him, man. So good job for your performer of the week. Now, Willie Jack, we got the playoffs starting, dog. We got the playoffs starting, and the first game we got on the docket is a Saturday game. We got the Cleveland Browns, speaking of CJ Stroud, going to Houston to take on the Texans. Willie Jack, who you got?
Man, I'm not gonna lie. This is the man. I hate that it's the Texans that gotta run into this Browns team because this rested Browns team. Browns are coming off of a bye week, and the way this game scares me the most, and it's probably the game I'm most excited to see. My heart's telling me Texans, but my head is telling me Cleveland, man. Something about the way that Joe Flacco is really operating in that offense, just airing the ball, just airing that thing out, man. David Njoku, Amari Cooper's going to be back now. I know he missed 2 games ago, and then they sat everybody out for this week. So I imagine Amari Cooper's back. You've got David Njoku, like I said, who's been playing his best ball of his career, it feels like. And then, like I said, Joe Flacco definitely sipping from that fountain of youth. Man, something's making me want to lean Browns. I'm pulling for the Texans, but I'm going to say Browns in a very tough, hard-fought game. I imagine Myles Garrett is going to definitely leave an impact on this game, man. And I think I'm going 27-23 Cleveland. I won't be disappointed at all to see Houston win this game. I would like to see Houston. I don't mind Houston winning this game at all. But if I gotta, you know what I'm saying, put the church's money on it, I'm gonna lean Cleveland 27-23. Damn, that's a tough one. That's a tough one.
Gotcha. Well, Jake, and I'm going Browns too, man. I'm going Browns,
Damn.
and I think this is where those injuries catch up with the Houston Texans. Okay, I think this is a game where they would need Tank Dell. You know, they would need some of those guys to really step up and be a difference maker and be the guy that can take the top off the defense. I watched them play this past week against the Indianapolis Colts, and CJ Stroud was making sure he was getting Nico Collins the ball. But now you're going against a team with a much better defense. They're going to put a lot of focus on Nico Collins. You don't have much of a consistent running game, you know, there. You don't have a number 2 guy that you can really go to and really count on. And then even if you did have one, they got some sticky corners on both sides of the ball, outside and in the slot. You know, so things are going to be much harder for this particular team. You've got Myles Garrett has had a chance to get some rest too, so he's going to be trying to get after the quarterback. So I think this is going to be a very tough game for the Houston Texans to try to pull off an uphill climb. But I do like the way that the direction that this team is going. And I see them being able to really pull some stuff off and really become more of a contender next year as long as they're able to continue to improve. So I'm going Browns in this game as well. I expect them to get their running game going. David Njoku and that Amari Cooper connection with Joe Flacco has been very, very good. Joe Flacco's been here before. Hey, I'm going to Cleveland Browns on the road. I think they win this game 27-17, actually.
27-17. I got you there. Of course, man, our dog, man, terrible time in those Texans, man. He's taking his hometown Texas by 2 scores in this one, man. And so, hey, I'm gonna tell you, man, like, I'm not gonna put anything past CJ, man. I'm not gonna put nothing past him. And we've seen him show up big time moments for sure. And he have a day, but
he had.
But just like you said, man, I think they're a little outgunned. I think you summed it up pretty good. I think they're just a little outgunned, man. I'd like to say they need that counterpoint to add to Nico Collins. Singletary in that run game has some hot spots, but man, this Browns defense is a whole nother animal, man. And I think, like I said, they just may outgun these Texans on both sides of the ball.
Gotcha. And then the second game we got on Saturday, man, we got the Miami Dolphins going to Kansas City to take on the Chiefs, Willie Jack. And I'm going to go with the Chiefs in this one, man. I'm going to go with the Chiefs. I think the Dolphins, they are another team that have been bitten by the injury bug. Of course, losing their 2 defensive ends and just being banged up a lot. Mostert missed the last game. Now I think he's going to be back this particular game, but even still, I don't know, man. Devin Achane looks like he's for real. Like he looks different there. Now I still don't think he's the guy you want to give 20 carries to, but you definitely want to give him the ball at least 10 times and get and for sure try to get him the ball in space. So they do have the ability to be explosive in this game, but this Chiefs defense has been solid all year long. I think they're going to continue to be solid here. They're if there's any team that knows Tyreek Hill and what he brings to the table, it's the Kansas City Chiefs. And then as far as the Chiefs go in this cold weather game, hey man, I've learned my lesson, man, not to count out Pat Mahomes. When it all boils down and you got one of those guys, hey, you got to go with them, man. So I'm going with Pat Mahomes and the Chiefs in this game. I think they take care of business at home. They're able to slow down the Miami offense. So give me the Chiefs winning this one. I'll say 20. Give them 27. I'll give them 27 again. 27-23, though. 27-23. I think the Chiefs win this game at home against the Dolphins.
Now I'm taking the Chiefs as well in this one. I think that weather is going to be a big part of this. And honestly, I think the scoring is going to be way lower. I got Kansas City winning this game 20-13. But honestly, this game, if the weather's as bad as it's sounding, this game could be 13-9. You know what I'm saying? Like I think this is going to be a very low scoring game. I'd be curious to see what the over under is because I damn near don't care what it is. I would say bet your money on the under. So I think points are going to be at a very good premium in this one, but the difference is definitely going to be the run game with Pacheco and the defense of Kansas City. And so I like Jalen Ramsey. He's over his career. He's been a matchup eraser. He's a guy that can match up with Kelce. You know what I'm saying? So he can and like in Vic Fangio and his scheme, he doesn't necessarily use corners in that way, but if they need to, Jason Kelce could definitely match up with Kelce and almost essentially neutralize.
Ramsey match up with Kelce, boy, he finna get his lunch ate.
But see, that's what I'm saying. But in this weather, in this cold, like because the foot is going to be a lot slower, and Kelce's not a speed. He's not going to be as sharp and as savvy in those routes. Like I'm thinking the weather definitely can slow this down. But I'll say, like I said, I think the strength of Kansas City's defense, I think they definitely have the more consistent run game with Pacheco in this weather. You know what I'm saying? Lamborghinis are fast Lamborghinis are fast in the, you know what I'm saying, on the street. You know what I'm saying? We in the woods, baby. You know what I'm saying? Like we in the tundra. You know what I'm saying? Lamborghini ain't no good outside in the snow. You know what I'm saying? Powder snow will wreck anybody's Ferrari. You know what I'm saying? You got to have you need a 4x4. And the Dolphins ain't built for it. You know what I mean? And so I think the weather and the defense Kansas City is going to be the difference. I'm taking them 20-13, man. I think it's going to be a very low scoring game.
All right, Willie J. Well, hey, that's nothing else more to say, Willie J. That's it and that's all, man. We came, we saw, we conquered. I need a game ball, though, man. Who gets the game ball this week, Willie J?
Man, the members is definitely in the building, man. And I tell you what, man, shout out to our dog ZB, our dog Jarrell, man. My dog Tom was in this thing as well. But yeah, let's get to my dog Miles, man. Our dog Miles, man, Macaroni Tony was in this thing, man. And so he had some good comments, especially through the middle parts earlier in the show for sure. So shout out to our dog Macaroni Tony, man. Miles Connor.
Absolutely, Willie J. Well, like I said, man, that's it. That's all. We came, we saw, we conquered, man. I think it's about time for you to go ahead and wrap us on up, big dog.
Yeah, no, for sure, you're right, man. And like I said, man, I appreciate everybody coming through, man. We got it. It's a little late. We 10 minutes long in this one, man. We tried to pick up the pace a little bit, but appreciate everybody rocking with us as always. Y'all know what's going on, man. Wild Card Super Weekend is in full effect, man. So this is where it's getting down to the nitty gritty, man. The most exciting part of this season. So we all put in our time, man. 17 long weeks to get to this point here. So everybody, man, we appreciate y'all. We will see y'all Sunday morning. Y'all have fun. Y'all be safe. Y'all enjoy yourself Sunday night with these games. And until Sunday morning 10, peace.
Peace.